Osceola County Stadium in Kissimmee, Florida. It's the Astros 2013 debut on Comcast Sportsnet Houston. And welcome, everybody. The Astros and Yankees today. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby, welcome back to the Astros.
Thanks a lot, Brownie. Good to be back. Great to be back, actually, and a great chance to work with you, a good old friend.
And you'll be working, too, with Jeff Blum on many games throughout the season. Jeff will be here next week. This is the first of two consecutive telecasts we have today and tomorrow. Yankees in town, the Astros with their new skipper, Bo Porter, looking good so far.
Bo Porter is doing a great job communicating to everybody, in particular to the players, a team that has lost 111 games, I believe, over the last two seasons combined, and a team that's trying to turn it around quickly. And Bo Porter is not accepting just the norm around here, at least over the last couple of years the way it had been. He wants to see this team turn it around quickly.
He has some potential power bats. Carlos Pena is a potential first baseman and DH, and he has Chris Carter. Carlos signed as a free agent. Chris came in a trade from Oakland.
Talk about Carlos Pena, led the American League in home runs just a few years ago. Great power, does strike out a great deal. Chris Carter came on and hit 16 home runs in limited at-bats for the Oakland A's. A tough ballpark in which to play and hit home runs. Did it last year. This guy has tremendous pop.
Bud Norris and Lucas Harrell, who pitches today, are in the rotation. Jordan Lyles has a strong shot. We have other candidates, the likes of Phil Umber, Eric Bedard, maybe Alex White.
Anxious to see Lucas Harrell today, a guy that was 11-11 a year ago. See what he can do as he tries to become the opening day starter for the Astros. But there are a number of guys, and I have seen Bedard not throwing all that hard, but throwing strikes and getting outs. And I think that could be a big key for a guy like him trying to rebound.
Today from Kissimmee, the Astros make their 2013 debut, and their debut on Comcast Sportsnet Houston next. It is a gorgeous day. A cool front is coming here, but this is quite a comfortable day here at Osceola County Stadium, the longtime home of the Houston Astros. The Yankees have a split squad day. They have another team playing at home. Bo Porter's club won a big one yesterday, 10-1 against the Toronto Blue Jays. A big one in the sense that the Blue Jays had a frontline lineup, and his club pitched well and also hit very well with 2 home runs from George Springer. Time to take a look now at the TXU starting lineup. And Tony Pena, the former Astros catcher and coach, is managing this Yankee club, while Joe Girardi stays back in Tampa. Eduardo Nunez is the leadoff man. He's the shortstop with Jason Nix at second, Zolio Almonte in right field. Matt Diaz is the left fielder with Melky Mesa in center, Francisco Cervelli the catcher, Corbin Joseph at third base, Luke Martin at first base, the DH J.R. Murphy. Not too many recognizable names, Alan, for most fans. The Yankees are stretched thin with a combination of a split squad day and injuries.
These Yankees bats and the Fans here at Osceola County Stadium will be watching right-hander Lucas Harrell on the hill. 27-year-old right-hander now in his third season with the Astros, trying to get himself in position to be that opening day starter, a guy who was 11-11 last year, a game under 500 lifetime, and just one of those guys that wants to be able to get it down in the strike zone and be ahead on the hitters right away.
You get a look at the Astros' brand new uniforms. Brand new manager Bo Porter has welcomed some new coaches to this staff as well. We'll talk about them as we move along today. The first of 10 spring training telecasts here for the Astros on Comcast Sportsnet Houston in 2013. So as it starts for Bo Porter, his club has a 3-2 record with 1 tie so far in the first 6 games. And Lucas Harrell is making his second trip to the mound. The leadoff man is Eduardo Nunez at shortstop today. Derek Jeter coming back from a broken ankle from the playoffs last year. And there's strike 1 to Nunez, who figures to be a handyman who could play short or the other infield positions as needed for Joe Girardi this season. Harrell catching the zone with that one, and quickly he's in front of Nunez. No balls, 2 strikes. He's a quick worker, Ash. You'll like that.
Well, I like the way he starts right down at the knees as well.
High chop goes to shortstop, and up the middle, Jonathan Villar with the throw to a stretching Carlos Pena. Safe is the call by Joe West. That ball was in the air a long time, giving Nunez a chance to beat it.
1 extra step at shortstop. Villar does have a very good arm, but you don't want to rely on the arm all the time. Get rid of the ball as quickly as possible. Probably just a case of not transferring to the right hand well.
So it's an infield hit, giving Nunez the opportunity to run the bases. And Jason Nix is the hitter. Nix has moved around in his major league career. He's at second base in this game today. Native of Dallas, 3 years plus of service time, 30 years old. Yankees have a big squad, 81 players. A lot of non-roster guys. There is strike 1 to Nix.
They might need more than 81 the way things are going with the injuries. Curtis Granderson, just in the first at bat on the spring against Jay Happ, former Astro, gets hit in the right forearm, fractures that bone, and is likely out for at least 5 weeks.
That's a big loss for them, and they have lost a lot of home runs off their roster from last year when they led the majors in homers. There's a double play ball. Villar gets it to Altuve and on over to Pena for a 6-4-3. And Lucas Harrell, with his specialty, the ground ball out, goes to work.
You keep that stuff down early in the strike zone, down around the knees, the way Harrell has been, and he should create a lot of ground balls. What that says for me, and the Astros had every facet of the game a year ago to improve upon. Defense among those areas, and that defense has got to find ways to get the double plays whenever possible.
Now it's Zolio Almonte from the Dominican Republic. He's 24 years old, a switch hitter. The Yankees signed him as a free agent at 05. He played at AA Trenton last year. And lays off that one, ball 1. Almonte hit 21 home runs for the AA Trenton club last year, driving in 70, stealing 15 bases. Fouls that one away for a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Harrell can really have quick innings with his stuff if the hitters are putting the ball in play on the ground, and that happens often for him. He had an ERA of 3.76 last year. And this one's up the middle, backhanded. Here's Altuve across the body, and it pulls Carlos Pena off the base. Good try by Altuve. He just had a hard time getting his body turned for that throw with where the ball was hit, Ash.
Terrific athleticism by Altuve, but I wonder, had he chosen, instead of trying to jump and throw, maybe plant the right foot and see if he comes up with a strong throw. You see that he had some time there at first base to get the out.
Now Matt Diaz, a well-traveled outfielder who was with the Atlanta Braves last season, and he figures to be getting some playing time with the Yankees this season. They've lost some outfielders from last year, and then with the Granderson injury, Diaz could be DHing some. He could be playing left field some. They have Brett Gardner, who can slide over to center if they choose to play him with Granderson out anyway, Ash.
I think Brett Gardner likely will be the center fielder. He can fly, throws pretty well. Defensively, the Yankees won't be hurting at all there.
That one's down and in. Diaz taking it. Lucas Harrell could be the opening day starter. Bud Norris is the other possibility in Astros camp. That won't be determined until after maybe the third or fourth start these guys have had for Bo Porter this spring. No reason to make that determination now, although some managers with other clubs have already named their opening day starters. Runner takes off, and this one is Luke foul outside the first base line toward the Yankee bullpen.
See a lot of this on the spring where runners are on the move. The Astros certainly have been trying to exploit that running game, but it's not a bad thing on the flip side either, where you get your catcher and middle infielders involved in the play.
Well, the Yankees did an awful lot of slugging last season. They won 95 games. They beat Baltimore in the final game of their playoff series before being eliminated and having to make that tough trip home. This one rolls and VR comes in. He is a strong arm young shortstop, and that's out number 3. No runs, a couple of hits, and a man left. No score. Failed to score. Now we'll check the TXU starting lineup for Bo Porter and the Houston Astros, who have really done a lot of hitting in the first 6 games of the year. Here's the way they stack up for Bo today, and he will be going with some different faces. If you have not been following the Astros in the last year or two, Jose Altuve has become a staple at second. Justin Maxwell has taken over in center field, but the newcomer at first base is Carlos Pena, who signed as a free agent. Chris Carter is the cleanup man in left field. This is his first playing time in left field this spring. Jason Castro has really started well with the bat. He's the catcher with J.D. Martinez in right field. The DH is Rick Ankiel with Marwin Gonzalez at third base and Jonathan Villar at shortstop.
On the mound for the Yankees, right-hander Brett Marshall. He's a Houston product and a youngster trying to find his way into the big leagues, and the Yankees have had some pretty good but veteran-like rotations, so you would think at some point the youth will find its way into that rotation.
We take a look at Tony Pena, former Astros catcher and coach, and formerly the manager of the Kansas City Royals, running this New York Yankee club today as they play a split squad day of games.
Tony's always been a show-off with a great arm in the big leagues and still loves to show it off in batting practice.
Here's ball 1. Jose Altuve is 1 for 5 so far this spring. Played a little winter ball in Venezuela, native of Maracay. 22 years old and coming off an all-star season last year. 2 balls, no strikes.
You got to watch that season.
Yeah.
What stood out for you?
Just how hard he plays the game. Always runs hard from home to first base, and after that on the bases. And he had a very good stolen base year with 33. He just gives you everything he has, Ash, and he's become a fan favorite because of how hard he plays the game.
When I talk around camp with the coaches, and they talk about the work ethic of Jose Altuve and how he just loves this game, grinds it out. You watch the intelligent approach to hitting here, trying to get on base to start things.
And last year, he didn't walk a lot, 40 times. He had 576 at-bats. The year before, he had 221 at-bats and walked 5 times. So there was an improvement in terms of the number of pitches he saw. But Bo Porter said ideally Altuve will be his number 2 batter this year. 2-hopper to shortstop. Nunez with a looping throw, and that pulls the first sacker off. So Altuve is able to beat it out.
Joe West, the first base umpire, never made a sign to begin with. And now, thought for a moment, Joe, who then after the play said, no, he's safe, leaving the Yankees wondering what in the world was going on. Then it looked like the Yankees felt that Altuve had turned toward second base. Clearly, Altuve beats the play.
Right.
Altuve, I don't know what he thinks at this point. He makes a little left-hand turn, and the Yankees think they can tag him out.
Yes, they did. But Joe West would not allow it, and he is safe at first on that high throw for the error by Nunez. It's Manny Gonzalez behind the plate. Country Joe at first, Andy Fletcher at third, with the three-man umpiring crew you normally see in spring training.
That was intriguing. J.R. Merton, the first baseman, acted like he thought it was a routine out at first base, like he'd come down on the bag and gotten his man handle it.
Yeah, he did. There's a foul ball by Justin Maxwell, and he was 2 for 8 last season. Very good talent from Bethesda, Maryland. Tremendous athlete at 6'5", 222, long and lean. Runs extremely well, 29 years old. Got a lot of playing time for the Astros last year. He made some dazzling catches. He hit some long home runs. And the tools are there. It was interesting, Ash, as we talked with Bo Porter before this game today about the performance of George Springer, who is a center fielder and who reached the AA level last year, starting the year at Class A Lancaster and then being promoted to Corpus Christi. And Springer put on a show in Dunedin against the Blue Jays. He hit 2 homers. He drove in 5 runs. And somebody around our little group of media folks asked Bo, could he make your club? And he said, we're not ruling anybody out yet.
Yeah, that might have been one of the two of us. Might have been sitting in my chair, too. But Bo seemed to feel like anybody can make this club if they have a good spring. And when you're George Springer, with all the talk around camp about how he is put together as a player, I have a feeling he's got a great shot.
It's going to be a very interesting spring with some of the youngsters now pushing for major league time, and perhaps some are not ready. But when there are as many jobs open as the Astros have, usually spring training competition decides it.
It's very interesting the way you worded that. Some are not ready. And there are a lot of baseball people who think you're not ready until you played X number of games at each level. When it comes to George Springer, however, that type of talent, and everybody's talking about this guy just being loaded as you see the strikeout, off speed, dipping onto the knees. George Springer is one of those guys who's going to open your eyes right away. And if he opens your eyes during games with home runs like he had yesterday, with his speed and everything he does instinctually, he's got a chance of playing right away.
He looked very good yesterday. That was a good changeup from Brett Marshall, 23 years old, from Highlands, Texas. That's northeast of Channelview, about 20 minutes from downtown Houston. He was on the 08 All Greater Houston Player of the Year team by the Houston Chronicle. There's a fly ball to left. Diaz coming in for it. And he snags that one for out number 2 as Carlos Pena goes the other way. And so Brett Marshall, who was a 6th-round pick in 08, coming off a very strong year for AA Trenton. He led the Eastern League in wins with 13. He was 13-7. His ERA was 3.52, and he's bounced back nicely from Tommy John surgery in 09. So a Houston area pitcher goes against a Houston team today.
Get to watching one of these guys that has learned the changeup early on in his career in the minor leagues, has a feel with it, can throw it at any count. That type of pitcher can surprise you, making it to the big leagues and being successful.
And now Chris Carter. It's going to be fascinating to watch him this year with the power that he brings, Ash.
Well, I guess I made the right decision yesterday. Stayed back, watched the workout here in Kissimmee. And this guy, though he probably would tell you it was just a routine day of batting practice, didn't put on any kind of special show. The show that I saw was the bat speed and the way the ball sounds coming off that bat.
Runner moving. Here's the throw from Cervelli. It's right on the button. And Altuve has gone down to win the first with no runs, no hits, an error, nobody left, no score after 1. score after one here as the Astros make their debut on Comcast Sportsnet Houston. We are so thrilled to be a part of it. Alan Ashby joining me, Bill Brown, and Jeff Blum will be a part of it all season long, as you'll get a chance to see the Astros with 10 spring training telecasts, and then every game during the regular season with the exception of opening night, which we're not allowed to televise. So it's going to be an awful lot of entertainment for you on Comcast Sportsnet Houston. And boy, from the guy at the top, President Matt Hutchings, on down Murphy Brown, we've got a great production crew, state-of-the-art truck, tremendous studio people. Marius Payton anchoring the shows pre and post game today with Mike Stanton. It's going to be a lot of fun this year. Melky Mesa takes a look at that one, and it's a ball for a 1-1 count.
I love the open I just saw.
Yeah,
good looking stuff.
They work hard and they do nice quality work. We've had a chance to see them throughout the winter. 2 balls and a strike to Mesa. Mesa's 26. Lucas Harrell went a couple of innings in his first start. The target today would be 3 innings, depending on how many pitches he throws during those 3. And we're hoping to get a word with him a little bit later on. And the plan is maybe about the 6th inning. Typically, a starting pitcher wants to get a workout in, so he'll head for the weight room after his outing today and then get dressed, and then we'll hear from him. That's a looping liner to right field, and that falls in for a hit. And Mesa has a leadoff single, hit number 3. Don't miss your chance to purchase 2013 Astros regular season tickets. Tickets for individual games, including opening night, go on sale for the first time this season, March 4th. For information on all the biggest games, call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com. So 3 hits for the Yankees so far, and now it's Francisco Cervelli coming up. And Cervelli is bidding for quite a bit of playing time this year at age 27. Russell Martin has left the picture. He's joined the Pittsburgh Pirates. That opens it up for Cervelli and probably Chris Stewart, who may be sharing the job. Cervelli hits a high chop. Altuve standing on the bag, and he up and over and gets the double play, standing right there on second base. And then it became a matter of getting out of Mesa's way to complete the 4-3 double play on Cervelli.
Things are happening rather quickly now with Lucas Harrell on the hill, and I think that's a good thing. 3 hits already, I think, can lead to the idea, and see that hopper perfectly played by Altuve, that maybe he doesn't have his stuff early on, but a couple of infield choppers for hits, and then a little looper dropping in right field. So I would say he's been sharp.
Yep. That's a good point, too, Ash. There's strike 1 to Joseph now. Corbin Joseph, native of Franklin, Tennessee, 24 years old. Brother Caleb was drafted by Baltimore in 08, and that was the year the Yankees drafted Corbin Joseph in the 4th round. The point being that, yes, you can look at a box score if you haven't seen the game and see, oh, you know, so-and-so gave up 9 hits in 6 innings. But sometimes those balls were not hit well. They've just dunked in. This fly ball goes out to Carter in left. And Carter handles out number 3. So a couple of pretty well done innings here for Lucas Harrell in the scoreless game in Kissimmee. On a lazy Thursday afternoon. We'll be with you on a lazy Friday afternoon as well. Orbit is here from Houston. He's been here for about a couple of weeks now for an extended stay because he's always attracted to crowds.
That's what brings him out.
Yep. Brings him out.
You know, I haven't seen him out on the field getting his work in. I hope he's not going to get sore after this first game.
He's been in the weight room quite extensively. That's why you haven't seen a lot of him. You like the new colors, Ash?
Yeah, very nice. Yeah. And you know what? On the uniforms, I love bringing back the rainbow colors. I don't know, does it show up this nicely on the regular season unis?
Well, you'll see different versions, and this one is for spring training and batting practice, but the Astros have received permission from Major League Baseball to make this one an alternate game jersey. There you see the big unveiling with the guys who came in for that big show at Minute Maid Park. Singleton, Lyles, Altuve, Maxwell, and that crowd. And that was quite an event at Minute Maid back in November when these uniforms were unveiled. There you see the various versions. And now you're looking at Chris Carter again. It was at the plate when Altuve was thrown out trying to steal. There's ball one on Carter. And so those are the different combinations that you'll be seeing throughout the season. But you might see this one. This one's been really hot and a big seller. So, you know, a lot of times, Ash, as you well remember in your days, the players kind of attach what uniforms they want to wear to what their record is wearing those uniforms.
I think you need to be careful declaring that I remember anything really well.
Number one, as Joseph gets it over to Merton to get Carter, and Castro up next.
Yeah, that's a starting pitcher kind of thing. And they know which uniform they pitched well in, and they'll tell the clubhouse guy, no, I'm not wearing that one today. We're wearing this one.
And starting pitcher gets to claim the music in the clubhouse, too, right?
Yeah.
And that's been a part of what Bo Porter has done. One day he came in and said, it's too quiet in here. Let's fire up some music.
Like that.
Castro is off to a very nice start with a couple of home runs this spring. And from Castro Valley, California, Castro the Astro, healthy now after that knee surgery. Did not allow him to play at 100% last year. The surgery from the year before, and then some other associated problems. But he has looked very strong, and the new catching instructor, Jeff Murphy, pleased with the job Jason is doing behind the plate, blocking pitches in the dirt, and Jason's knee is feeling great.
If playing at 100% implies that Jason Castro will be at all like he's been to this point on the spring, he's going to be kind of good.
Yeah.
Driving a home run left center field right here, left of the 410 mark a couple of days ago. Yeah, that's a pretty good bolt.
And the Astros would love to work it out so he could catch 120 games. He hit well the last couple of months of last season. And if he can pick it up there and offer some improvement offensively, that could really give them quite a bit more offense.
Don't you wonder what Bo Porter's thinking right now, 3-2 with a tie, but some of the young players playing the way they have played.
Yeah. He's put that program into effect. Hustle at all times, and it's gone well. You know, Marshall, after the year he had at AA Trenton, is looking good today. Pitched 158 innings last year. He could be somebody to watch on that Yankee radar screen, not necessarily for this year, but maybe later on this year, Ash. What do you think?
Look at the impact of the changeup. That's the second strikeout for Marshall, each coming on the changeup and each inducing those swings, just waving out in front. What a great pitch.
Now J.D. Martinez bats. J.D. with strike one. He's been playing some right field. In the past, he had been a left fielder for the Astros, but in the minor leagues had played a good deal of right. And he's going to become a more versatile player that will allow Chris Carter to get in some time in left field. And right field is an unclaimed territory right now for the Astros. There are many candidates. Rick Ankiel, who's DHing today and on deck, is one of those candidates, and there are others as well.
J.D. Martinez led the Astros in RBIs with 55 a year ago, and usually that means that you got a locked up spot for the next season. But the way things are going right now, I think anybody could break in just about anywhere.
Yeah, in general, that's true with a new manager and a young ball club. That's strikeout number 3 for Marshall. He is looking good, and after a couple, it's scoreless. Nothing, Astros nothing. We welcome Bo Porter to our first telecast of the season on Comcast Sportsnet. Houston, pleasure to have you in an Astros uniform. And what have you seen that you like so far this spring?
Oh, I like the energy in which we've been having this spring. The guys have been very, very enthusiastic. They've been attention to detail. It's been great throughout the course of camp. And you can feel the excitement around the whole ball club.
Bo, it's Alan. Talk a little bit about the possibilities around this camp with some of the youngsters coming in, and there are a lot of youngsters around, but those chances to break in at the big league level with a strong spring.
Oh, I tell you, one of the things that we talked about all offseason was the amount of opportunity that has presented itself in the organization. And, we as a staff, we told the entire camp, we said, you will probably never report to a Major League spring training and have, this much opportunity at the Major League level.
Yeah, and that's fun to watch when a guy like George Springer has a breakout game like he did yesterday with the 2 homers, 5 runs batted in. You've seen some good base running as well. There's a lot to like with this organization so far for you.
It is a lot. I mean, the young guys have been great. The veteran guys that that we brought in here to provide leadership and the presence in the locker room, they've been outstanding as well. And as an organization, we are extremely excited about the direction in which we're going, and we're excited about the young players that we have in the organization.
I know you want to get back to work, but I imagine you're also excited watching Lucas Harrell pump strikes early in the count.
I tell you, he's done a great job of being down in the zone. His first start, he got a couple balls up early and didn't fare too well over in Philadelphia, but he's come out today and he's been pounding the bottom of the strike zone. He's getting a lot of ground balls, a couple double plays already. It's been a joy to watch.
Just one more question, Bo. As far as winning games in spring training, is that an objective for you?
Well, I think when you talk about developing, you want to develop winners, and every opportunity you have, to come out victorious, again, it's another notch toward that process of understanding what it takes to win baseball games and doing the things necessary to win baseball games.
Thanks so much for joining us, Bo. We look forward to this season and many more with Bo Porter as the Astros skipper.
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
That's a good strikeout for Lucas Harrell. His first of the day. He's had 2 double play balls. And now it's the DH J.R. Murphy coming up. Murphy, 21 years old, from Bradenton, Florida. He was at A-ball for part of the season, Tampa, and then Double-A Trenton part of the year as well last year. Strike one.
Ronnie, I don't know what your opinion is about how much impact a manager can have on a major league team over the course of the year. There have been times when I quite frankly have really wondered about what a manager can do in terms of the impact, but Bo Porter has come in here and his attitude, his approach to the game has just seemingly turned this team around in terms of where they think they can take this team this season.
I have to agree with you. He is so dynamic. And I think, Ash, to take your remark perhaps a step further, not only impact on the Major League club, but an entire organization, because he has set a tone that filters all through the system. And we can talk about starting pitchers, and he would like to see them go deeper into games. He's talked with the minor league managers about leaving starting pitchers in longer, and if that's cultivated in the minor leagues, that can help out when these pitchers get to the big leagues.
Couldn't agree more. And I worked under Larry Dierker one season when Dirk came on as the skip.
Good backhanded play by Marwin Gonzalez. You'll like his glove, Ash.
Like his arm, too.
Yep.
Nice play on the backhand side. But quickly back to Dierker. What he did when he came on as the manager is he said to Mike Hampton, and you can see the play. That's just plant, use your head, and realize you've got the arm to make the play. But he got Mike Hampton and Darryl Kyle to turn their approaches and their games along with it completely around by saying, look, you're not done because you've pitched 6 innings and maybe you have a quality start, but we would like you to pitch 7, 8, or 9 innings.
And, they really came around. Both those guys developed, went deep into games, piled up 200-inning seasons, more than one, and became strong winning pitchers. That's in the air, and on the right side of the infield, it's Altuve. For a quick 3rd inning for Lucas Harrell, that might be it for him today. Very good outing. If it is, no score. No score, and the Yankees and Astros are playing for the first time this spring. The Astros beat the Toronto Blue Jays yesterday, so they get a little flavor for the American League East clubs on back-to-back days. Tomorrow it's the St. Louis Cardinals. We're on the air with the pregame show at 11:30. That's it for Lucas Harrell today. He got the handshakes coming off the field after 3 scoreless innings. He gave up 3 hits, and he had 1 strikeout. He had 2 double play balls on the ground. Very efficient performance for Lucas today, Ash.
I think it was one of those days that you hope to have on the course of the spring. You extend yourself to 3 innings, just your second start of the spring, throw strikes early in the count. I think those are areas that the coaching staff will talk about to a pitcher. Get yourself deeper into the ball game, get yourself early ahead in counts, and he did all of that. And he found the strike zone very consistently and got some weak ground balls.
Doug Brocale, the pitching coach, talking with Lucas Harrell. Meanwhile, Rick Ankiel takes, and there's strike 1 to Rick. He has a nice start to the spring, 4 for 7. Native of Fort Pierce, Florida, formerly with the Redbirds. And, of course, as you know, he was a pitcher who encountered wildness. Brad Peacock is warming up in the bullpen for Houston, and then he converted to an outfielder and has had some good seasons. Last year not being one of those, but as he comes into camp with this Astros club this year, he has a history with Bo Porter from his Washington Nationals days, and he gets a fresh start, and everybody gets a fresh start with a new manager, Ash.
I think just about every pitcher I ever played with will tell you he could hit when he was a youngster.
He loops that one in for a hit. He's now 5 for 8 this spring.
And though this wasn't exactly scalded, Rick Ankiel can hit, and tremendous power with the bat when he made that conversion over to becoming an outfielder. It's tied up, but good hitters have the reputation of being guys who can fight off that pitch on the hands.
So Marwin Gonzalez, who also has outstanding numbers so far, 6 hits and 11 at bats this spring, will have a chance to advance him. Marwin playing third base today. Marwin turns 24 on March 14th. He's from Venezuela. He was a Rule 5 draft choice of Boston, and then Houston traded for him. And he shortens up and takes ball 1, and wound up with 205 at bats for the Astros last year, hitting .234, 2 homers, 12 runs batted in. When Jed Lowry was injured at shortstop, Marwin Gonzalez stepped in and really played well defensively. And this season, we talked earlier about Bo Porter ideally wanting Jose Altuve to be his number 2 hitter. He would like to see a shortstop emerge as the leadoff man. And that right now looks to be either Marwin Gonzalez or Tyler Green. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Doesn't hurt to swing it from both sides. Be able to play that defensive side of the game. Thing that I'm trying to figure out on Marwin Gonzalez as I learn this Astros club is he looked at as an everyday shortstop or a guy that can play all the infield, kind of that utility player?
Very appropriate question. Runner going. Cervelli's throw is there, chest high, and the tag gets him. Ankiel thrown out from 2 to 6. And Cervelli's gunned down 2 today.
A couple of good throws, and Cervelli can play defensively, no question about it. Kind of takes his time and just makes a good throw up over the bag. That's the way you do it when you've got a legitimate shot to get a guy easily. The Astros just continue to run. The way Ankiel was looking back, it looked like a base runner who maybe thought the hit and run was on.
That's a strike. That makes it 2-2. Well, Marwin could be that kind of utility guy who could play all the infield spots. And usually going from the National League to the American League now, the Astros becoming the first team to do that. But usually an American League manager will want at least 1 player on his bench who can cover most, if not all, of those infield spots.
It's always hard to find because you need the guy with a shortstop arm.
Rolled out to second. Nick's on over to first. 2 outs.
Come on out to Minute Maid Park tomorrow, March 1st through Sunday, March 3rd, for the Astros Foundation College Classic. The tournament will feature ranked teams including North Carolina, Rice University, and Texas A&M. Get your tickets right now by calling 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com.
March 1st tomorrow, the Ides of March. We'll see what it brings. No score here, bottom of the 3rd inning. Jonathan Villar switch hitting shortstop. Had a good year going at AA Corpus Christi last season. He's from the Dominican, just 21 years old, one of the Astros prospects. And he has a strong arm. What derailed him was that after striking out, he punched a door and broke his hand last year. Missed 5 weeks with that injury. He's 1 for 9 so far this spring. Cracks this one, but it's on one hop to Luke Merton for the 3rd out. After 3, there is no score in Kissimmee. Yankees nothing, Astros nothing after 3 here in Kissimmee. Astros general manager Jeff Luhnow joining us on the Astros Comcast Sportsnet Houston debut. First of 10 spring training games for the Astros on their brand new television home. And Jeff, a lot of things are new this spring. New TV partner. It's going well so far.
I think it's going great. And what a broadcast team we have. I'm really excited to be here. I'm privileged.
Well, we're privileged to have you. And in fact, we're watching Brad Peacock warm up. And this is one of the things you've done over the winter is create some depth and some real competition for spots on this pitching staff. Tell us a little bit about Brad and where he fits.
Well, that was one of the goals, was to have more than 5 starters. If we were lucky, have 8, maybe 10 guys competing for 5 spots. I think we've accomplished that. Peacock's had a good career. He had a great year at AAA last year. He's been to the big leagues with the Nationals a couple years ago. And I think he's one of those guys that if he shows us enough, he could make this team either right now or sometime during the year.
Jeff, I want to add that you read that card we gave you about the broadcast team very well. We appreciate that. I wanted to bring up Lucas Harrell and the way he pitched today. I thought it was an exceptionally good outing, throwing strikes, getting ahead early.
It is, and these first couple outings, you don't want to read too much into them, but this is the first time he's gone 3 innings. He kept the ball down, did exactly what we need him to do, so it's a good base to build off of, and we're just going to keep building him more and more until he's ready to go. He's really shown us that he's capable of going out there and repeating and improving on what he did last year.
That trade that brought Peacock from Oakland to Houston, also bringing Chris Carter and a young catcher, Max Stassi, in the Jed Lowry and Fernando Rodriguez deal. We'll get to that in a moment. This call to the bullpen presented by Gulfgate Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram. You see Brad Peacock, his career pitching totals, a guy who could be now an emerging pitcher at age 25. He had been drafted by Washington. Oakland got him in a trade. And now this native of Palm Beach, Florida, has a chance to get this call in a new organization and show what he can do. And you can talk too, Jeff, if you will, about the dynamics of that Jed Lowry trade with Oakland and what you got in return.
Well, we really felt like we improved our team not only for the long haul, but we improved getting some guys we needed for this year. Chris Carter provides some right-handed power that we really felt we needed on this club. and Brad Peacock adds depth to our pitching rotation, and he's going to be up here at some point. And Max Stassi, to get a catching prospect like that, we thought that the return was enough to justify giving up a very good player in Jed Lowry, and Fernando Rodriguez obviously helped our club at times last year. So those are the decisions that are tough to make as a general manager, but we felt like it was consistent with our strategy to develop the best young talent in baseball, and we made a couple steps in that direction.
There's a looper over first base and up the right field line. That'll fall in for a hit. JD over to field it. And he holds next to a single. Well, and you addressed the need in the Astros organization, getting the young catcher, Stassi. Oakland was pretty well fixed for catchers. Is that what you try to do when you create a partner for a deal?
I think Oakland had depth in both starting pitching as well as catching prospects, and we looked at that and said, if we're going to do a deal with them, it's going to have to match up with where they have excess and where we have needs, and it turned out that it worked out great for us because I think all three of those players are going to have long Astro careers.
I think the guy that probably figures to have the immediate impact is Chris Carter, and I would assume you guys would love to see him get 500 plus at bats this year.
I think we do, and I'd love to get Brett Wallace the same number of at bats, and to do that we're going to have to be creative as far as positions.
Good point. That's the 1-4-3 double play. Altuve sharp up the middle, flashing across the back. That's 3 double play balls today, Jeff.
There you go.
I think that comes part and parcel with Lucas Harrell throwing the way he did. There were some infield hits setting up the possibilities. This infield, and I made the comment about last year, offense struggled, pitching struggled, the defense struggled. The defense has got to find a way to help this young pitching staff and create those double plays, make it happen when the opportunities are there.
No question about it. I think, Lucas Harrell is successful in part because he's a ground ball pitcher, but to be successful as a ground ball pitcher, you have to rely on your infield defense. And, we know we've got guys capable of playing plus defensively, whether it's Marwin or Tyler Green or Altuve, Pena at first, Dominguez at third. I think we've got guys that are capable of doing it this year.
1 ball, 1 strike to Matt Diaz. Now the move to the American League puts a bit of a different look on things for you as far as constructing your roster for an American League club. How do you look at that challenge?
I think it's exciting to be able to imagine the possibility of having a Fryman and a Carter and a Pena and a Wallace all on the same team. You'd never be able to do that in the National League, and we've got a chance to do that here. And those are some pretty imposing figures in the lineup. If we can get them all on the roster, we'd love to figure out a way to do that.
It's a good point. Fryman, a Rule 5 pick, had a very good year at San Antonio. You do have a longer than normal spring training this year. That could be helpful as far as getting more at-bats for these guys you need to find out about, right?
I think it works to our benefit. We don't have a lot of guys going to the Classic, so we've got guys that are going to be here the entire time, getting a lot of at-bats and a lot of innings, and it helps us because we have a lot of battles, so we need that time. There's other teams that have their lineup set, and so they're just trying to avoid injuries, but we've got some big decisions to make, so that we're going to use every at-bat, every inning pitched as a way to evaluate these players.
Travis Fryman is one of those guys. For me, you see him physically and you think, wow, this guy could maybe be something special, and with the bat he appears to be that.
I think one of the things that's impressed our hitting coaches is a guy that big having such a short swing.
Gonzalez with the play. We'll be right back with Jeff Luhnow in a scoreless game. Dellin Betances warming up to come in for the Yankees and face the Astros in the bottom of the 4th inning. Yankees with 4 hits and the Astros with 1, but the Astros have done a lot of hitting in the previous 6 games. Betances, one of the Yankee prospects, 25 years old. He's from New York. Last year he had a disappointing year after he was thought to be on the horizon to break through to make that Yankee staff last year. He's a big one, Ash. 6'8", 260 is listed height and weight.
I think all baseball people like to project those big bodies as big arms. Doesn't always work out that way, and it doesn't also mean that you're going to stay healthy because it's easier on the body, whatever the case may be. But boy, when you see a guy like this, you have to feel like, wow, this guy could be something special.
And Jeff, as you've done all the analytical work that you've done in your career, looking at guys like Dellin Betances, you know, they make the prospect handbook, they're ranked very high, and then it's just not that easy for some of them, right?
It's not, especially pitchers. They have such a propensity to get injured because it's so difficult that, you know, for every 4 guys, you might have 1 that will make it. I think it's a little easier on position players because they don't have quite as many injury problems, but you know, 25's not that old, and this kid still looks like he's got pretty good stuff. I remember scouting him as an amateur before he signed, and sometimes we think because he's been around for a while that maybe he's not going to make it, but 25 is still young enough to have a very bright career.
You bet it is. Now Altuve, he reached on the error in the 1st inning. And fouls that one back, and we talked earlier, Jeff, before you joined us about the skipper's desire to have Altuve fit into the number 2 spot in the lineup if everything shakes out that way. And a lot of times, you know, a manager will have that kind of an agenda to spring training. It doesn't always pan out that way, but it would be an interesting plan if the Astros can get a guy with a good on-base average to hit in front of him.
Yeah, I think that's right. And one of the nice things about spring training is you can try some different things out, and it allows you to experiment a little bit. And, you know, a lot of it's going to be driven by who does make the final roster. But Altuve has the ability to hit at the top of the lineup, bottom of the lineup, wherever you want. And you know one thing he's going to do, he's going to put the ball on the bat, he's going to get the bat on the ball, he's going to get a high average typically and be able to run and create some havoc. So he's a dynamic player.
John Maley's the new hitting coach, and he's an interesting guy. This is a really good, diverse coaching staff.
It is. We spent a lot of time at the end of last year and then during the offseason putting together this coaching staff. We know we're going to have the youngest team in baseball, and we know that some of them are still learning at the big league level. It's very important for us to have the right mix of coaches and teachers and motivators. It all starts with Bo, but every person on that staff is important, and we interviewed a lot of people to narrow it down to the group that we selected, and we couldn't be more happy. This is really the best group for our Houston Astros, and I think they're going to be here for a while.
Jeff, philosophically, getting back to that leadoff man, I had a question is, Altuve finds a creative way to get on base. Do you like the leadoff guy to be the classic speedy guy, maybe doesn't get on base quite as much as the other guy that gets on base a bunch and doesn't look like the leadoff guy with the speed?
Well, it's a good question, and that's a constant debate not only in the analytical community but the baseball community in general. And I think the reality is that leadoff batter is going to get a lot more at-bats over the course of a season. And so the more you can produce from those at-bats, and production can come in the form of hits, extra base hits, walks, or stolen bases, or running speed. And so it really matters on the type of person that you're talking about. But, you know, production's really the bottom line. You want that guy to produce as much as possible because they're going to get that many more opportunities.
Well, if you had, for instance, a Tyler Green leading off, he can be a base stealer, so he could help you that way. But if it's somebody who is not a base stealer, still, with Altuve batting second, if that happened to be the case, he has the bat control to advance that runner from first to third without stealing a base.
That's right. He's quick enough to not get caught in double plays too often, which helps too.
Good point. Maxwell with a fly ball for out number 1. And defensively, after watching the club last year, Jeff, what were your objectives in putting a defensive team together that would be improved for this season?
Well, we've got some pretty good defensive players, guys that have a chance to be plus defensive players. When you start with Matt Dominguez at third base, everybody talks about his abilities with the glove, and if he hits enough, he's going to be a real important asset for us. Altuve is really blossoming into a plus second baseman. I think Wallace and Pena can both play very good first baseman defensively. You know, shortstop Marwin and Tyler both have the tools. Whether or not they're going to be able to consistently do it remains to be seen.
Carlos Pena could be a big man for you this year. He has had some sensational years, not only providing home runs, driving in runs, but taking his walks, getting on base.
He has. He's, if you look at his last 6 years, he's averaged 32 home runs, and I think that's the type of production that we'd love to get from him this year.
I think a lot of the baseball fans out there will get stuck sometimes on a player like Carlos Pena and say, well, he strikes out way too much. How much does that matter to you?
He does strike out, and obviously that's not something you're looking to do, but at the same time you got to look at his overall production, which means how often does he get on base and what kind of damage does he do when he gets hits, and he does damage. He's got a reasonably high OPS. Last year was his low for a while, but if we could get his average over the past few years, we'll take it, because he'll be productive, and in our ballpark he's a chance to make a lot of do a lot of damage.
You have some flexibility, guys who can DH and also play a position. Bo talked about that before the game. Rather than being hamstrung with a guy who really doesn't have a position in the field, you could rotate at that.
I think that's right, and we're trying Carter out in left field today. We know Carlos can play good first base. We know Wally can play some third base. To have those types of guys that you can move around, we can have a pretty nice lineup against right-handed pitchers and left-handed pitchers.
Strike 3 and out number 2. Carter comes up next. Carter is that rarity, at least as far as what we've been told, and you would know this certainly more, Jeff, the opposite field power kind of guy, the monster home run kind of power that just attracts a lot of folks.
He does, and I think the folks in the Crawford boxes this year are going to be pretty excited every time he comes up to bat, and there probably won't be a lot of people going to the bathroom when he comes up.
I think the folks well behind the Crawford boxes might want to be alert.
Yeah, they may even get an alert out in Union Station from what we hear about this guy's power. And, with the ratio of home runs per at-bats that he had last year, that's pretty exciting to multiply that on out and hope that would happen in Houston this year.
It is. It's always a little dangerous because when you don't get a full season's worth of at-bats, it's usually because you're being protected against certain types of pitchers. But, he's gonna see all types of pitchers this year. He's at the point in his career where he's really ready to break out and become a regular, and I just can't wait to see it happen.
Well, for me, watching him take batting practice, and batting practice is a lot of times very different than what happens in a game, but he's one of those guys that's going to make other players kind of stay out on the field a little bit longer, say, watch this guy, watch what he does. He's very special.
I think you're right, and we didn't really have anybody like that in our lineup last year. The most impressive things I saw last year were when Maxwell hit some of those monster home runs, and those were a lot of fun to watch, and between the thought of him and Carter doing that this year is pretty exciting.
That'll get Altuve to second base on the pitch in the dirt.
Well, I think it's really nice that you've started assembling some very good speed. Don't know if it's all ready to play at the big league level right now. Certainly some of it is. But a lot of power to go with it, and the power seems to be a little closer to the scene and may make its presence felt in a big way. I think Bo Porter would be happy with both of those elements becoming a part of the offense in the future.
I think that's right. And when you talk about speed, we're not just talking strictly about being able to steal second base. We're also talking about stretching a single into a double, going first to third. Those are the things that we're starting to see that Bo and the staff are implementing that could really make a big difference for us this year.
Carter looks at that one off the plate. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 10 spring training telecasts, this number 1 for us of the spring. Jeff, we'll see a lot of things. We may not get extensive looks at players like George Springer and Delino DeShields, but that is another exciting facet of this organization right now.
It really is, and the fact that we're able to bring some of these kids up and have them play in the big league games is really exciting. What George Springer did yesterday, I was there. Both of those shots were out. There were no doubt about it, and he's got a lot of big league potential. It's fun for us to think about what the future holds with some of these guys.
Does a guy like George Springer and what he did yesterday and what he's done so far, 7 RBIs already, leading American League players in RBIs, does a guy like that ever mess up plans going into a spring, leaving you thinking, hey, slow it down just a little bit. We want to see you do well, but maybe not quite so quickly?
I think that it's a good problem to have. The best example of that was when Albert Pujols, I think he hit 7 home runs in spring training. Bobby Bonilla was scheduled to be the starter for the Cardinals that year. He got hurt the last day of spring training. Albert Pujols went on to win Rookie of the Year and begin his Hall of Fame career.
That really messed up the plans, didn't it?
Yeah, really messed up. We'll take one of those.
2 balls, no strikes. Well, definitely what you've done is stockpile that talent, and it's on display in the rankings of the Astros minor league organization, whether it's ESPN or Baseball America. And you also have bolstered the talent acquisition by adding coach. You've added an extra coach at each level, haven't you?
We have. At all of our full season levels, we have an extra coach, and they're not just any old coach. They're guys like Vince Coleman, who stole 100 bases in the big leagues 3 years, and guys like Morgan Ensberg, who hit a big home run for us in the World Series in '05. These are the types of guys that we have at these levels, and we really feel like if we're going to develop the best talent, we have to have the best teachers, and that's really what we've been trying to do.
We were chatting with Adam Everett, another one of those coaches that you've added. That prior to batting practice today, and a guy that was talking about how he wanted this player and that player to do this, and very specific ideas defensively. It just looks like a great assemblage.
It is, and Adam has got his hands full. He's got a lot of infielders to work with, but I'm sure he's going to have a good influence on them. And Roger Clemens is his second time here. He's working directly not only with Harrell and Norris and the guys that are going to be in our big league rotation, but he's back there working with McCullers and Brady Rogers and the minor leaguers, and that type of instruction is really what we need if we're going to maximize the amazing talent that we have in our minor leagues.
And extremely rare.
And Dennis Martinez brings that as the bullpen coach. He was talking yesterday about the mentality he had when he was pitching. Just that whole thought process really has to be helpful to a young player.
It is. When you're hearing advice from a guy like Dennis Martinez, who won 245 games at the big league level, you've got to listen, because he clearly has been successful. And same thing with Roger Clemens, the amount of success that he's had. And it helps. When you're getting defensive tips from Adam Everett, who's one of the best defenders I've seen in my life at shortstop, those are the things that really make you stand up and listen.
Dennis Martinez was known for a pretty fair curveball in his day. Any tendency for the pitchers to want to pick up on that pitch?
Oh. Well, Betances really fighting control problems there. And earlier in the inning, he hit Altuve leading off, then back-to-back walks to Carter and Castro. That one hits Martinez. Yankees may be contending foul ball. And apparently it did hit his bat. Let's see it.
I don't think Martinez sold this very well. He hung around home plate as if he was waiting for this eventual call that the ball hits the bat, and clearly that is the case. But the salesman job needs a little work, I would say.
I think fear overruled it on that occasion.
Yeah, the soccer player has a little more of that in him.
Yeah, big 6'8" right-hander, throwing hard with some wildness. Takes you back to J.R. Richard days, maybe, Ash.
Yeah, I was impressed with that fine swing as Martinez fouled it off.
Back to Dennis Martinez curveball. The curveball seems to be something most pitchers go for a slider these days, and I'm really a big fan of the curveball. I think in a lot of circumstances, if you can get a guy with a good curveball, it's a huge advantage. So whenever you got a guy like Dennis who can teach that, I think it's good.
I'll say this, there aren't a lot of pitchers who tend to mix a good curve and a good slider together in their repertoire.
You're right about that, and if you can do that, I think you can have a lot of success at the big league level in a very long career. Just like, if you've got a good changeup, a good split, some other pitch, you really need to have 3 good average or above average pitches to succeed at the big league level.
I'm one of those guys that's a big fan of the changeup. We didn't see it there.
No, we did not. But, Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. We learned a lot today.
Sure. Welcome aboard, both of you guys. I mean, I know one of you's been here before, but pleasure to be here on the first telecast.
Well, I plan on making life tough on that guy that's been here for a while.
Jeff Luno, no scores report.
Subscribe to MLB.tv Premium today and watch over 150 select spring training games live. Plus, every regular season game live or on demand on over 250 mobile and connected devices. Visit Astros.com for your details, just like Brownie is right now.
Well, I could never keep up with you, pal. You're Mr. Mobile Device. Hey, we are joined today by our producer, Kevin Cedergren, and coordinating producer, Brian Mitchell. Of course, watching back in Houston at the Comcast Sportsnet Houston studios, Murphy Brown, our executive producer, Matt Hutchings. Sarah Eckert is here. She's going to be doing a lot. You can follow her work on the website, and you can also follow her work on the pregame and postgame shows, doing all the interviews, and we'll have her doing some interviews tomorrow, we understand. So it's been a really good start so far today. Now, nothing still after 4. Time for some runs in the bottom of the inning, Ash. Mesa leads it off. And Mesa puts it in the air. Carlos Pena tracks it. 1 pitch, 1 out to Peacock.
Watching the flags out in right field. Wind is blowing out. That generally would mean quite a bit of offense going on. It says the pitching has been pretty good around some wildness, at least by Betances.
Sure does. Yeah, he was scary wild on J.D. Martinez, wound up striking him out. And now it's Cervelli coming up. He bounced into a 4-3 double play in the second inning. One of 3 double plays the Astros have turned in the first 3 so far. Lucas Harrell was the starter. He went 3, giving up 3 hits, no runs. And you see Cervelli with those numbers last year. And as you mentioned, he is known as a good defender, as the Yankees have moved on from the Jorge Posada era. And Russell Martin has moved on to Pittsburgh. So Cervelli may get a shot at doing quite a bit of catching for the New Yorkers this year. Their pitching staff looks pretty good, too.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure how impactful losing Russell Martin will be to the Yankees. He had a disappointing year with the bat last year, did hit with some power. I have a feeling Cervelli can handle the job defensively.
That one goes out toward right center field. Maxwell back, and J.D. Martinez is there. J.D. handling it for out number 2. So he's made that move across for this game from left field to right, and he'll probably play a fair amount of right field as well as left in spring training this season to make sure he's ready to go as a more versatile player for the Astros this year.
Of course, it really centers around Carter in left field and getting him the reps out there, getting him a chance to play. I think that's going to be a big key, not only over the course of the spring, but for the season. Can he do the job defensively in left at first? He'll be around, and you would think in the lineup as often as possible.
Exactly. Corbin Joseph, the batter. There's ball 1 to him. We have Ross Seaton, a right-hander, warming up in the Astros bullpen. He's a Houston area product. There's a strike to make him 1-1. If you're joining us here mid-game, another Houston area product worked well. Mr. Marshall for the Yankees. 3 innings of 1-hit shutout ball. No walks, 3 strikeouts. And he faced the minimum. There were a couple of caught stealings. There's a liner caught by Pena. A quick 5th inning goes Peacock's way. He can strut off the mound. And in the bottom of the 5th inning, there is still no score. No score here, and pitcher number 3 will be coming in for the Yankees. 2013 is a whole new ball game for the Houston Astros. Season tickets are available now. To learn about all the exclusive benefits and pricing, or to get your season tickets today, call 1-800-ASTROS-2 or visit astros.com. Gorgeous day here in Kissimmee, and it'll be pitcher number 3, Mike O'Brien, a right-hander, going to the bottom of the 5th for the Yankees, managed by Tony Pena today, the outstanding major league catchers of his era. Joe Girardi managing the Yankee club over in Tampa. It'll be the bottom of the order for the Astros here. Rick Ankiel will lead it off in the bottom of the 5th inning. This game has not been the pattern for the Astros in any of their previous 6 games. They've scored a lot of runs. They've collected a bunch of hits. But so far, just a lone single by Rick Ankiel in the 3rd. That's been it for them, as the Yankees pitchers have done well. Marshall looked really good. Houston area right-hander who gave up just that 1 hit in his 3. And he is ranked their number 6 prospect, so a good day for him.
I think on the flip side for the Astros, between Harrell and Peacock, 3 double plays on the infield, and obviously a nice way to get things going. That might imply that, well, yeah, there were a lot of base runners, some infield hits early on in the ball game contributing there, but the pitching has been good here this afternoon.
And now it's Ankiel stepping up. He got that lone Astros hit back in the 3rd inning. Then he was thrown out trying to steal. Gorgeous day today.
You know, I wound up waking up thinking it was going to be a bit of a chilly day.
Yeah, we had heard that. Just a .228 batting average for Rick last season. Very athletic player. The type of guy who can play center field, and he's done that. 1 ball, 1 strike. And that one comes outside a little bit as the count goes to 2-1. The Astros do not have any games against any of their American League West divisional foes in spring training. All the other 4 clubs in the AL West train in Arizona.
I don't know, is that a good thing or is that a negative? I'm not sure how to read that.
Can't really read it, can we? That one squared up, but he got underneath a little bit. A long drive to center field. Mesa back, and at the wall, Mesa goes up for it, but Rick Ankiel will take the tour with a home run for a 1-0 Astros lead. That's his 6th hit of the spring in 9 at-bats. First home run for Ankiel as an Astro.
Haven't even been seeing the noisy fly balls to this point. Ankiel gets it up in the breeze that's blowing out toward right center field. And that ball carried very well. Nice to see for Rick. Let's see what happens here. Fastball, you get a lot of that over the course of the spring. You can, as a hitter, and a guess fastball much more so than you can in the regular season. He takes advantage.
Ball 1 upstairs to Marwin Gonzalez. That was some electricity from Mr. Ankiel. Wind is blowing out to right center field. And Mesa made a good effort for it, but Rick got it above that yellow line. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Astros have been training here since the mid-'80s. There's the swing.
Rick gets it started with his hands rather close to the body and then extends as he takes the stride. Very nice extension through the swing as well.
There's a 2 ball, 1 strike count on Marwin Gonzalez. And what was pleasantly surprising about Marwin with that .234 average last season was how much composure he had in his first year as a major leaguer. Just did not look in any way as if he did not belong. Well, he just makes the bad hops look easy. He's one of those outstanding glove men. Doesn't get flustered. Very good poise. Takes a strike.
When you talk to pitchers, they'll tell you they want the guys behind them that make the routine plays, occasionally make the spectacular play, but they don't like that spectacular type play guy that kicks the routine ground balls.
Exactly. There's one up the middle. And the throw to first by Nunez gets him. Pretty close play.
Joe West, one of the veteran umpires, has moved down to third base, and in the couple of games that I've seen Joe at first base, everybody has been safe, so I was disappointed that Joe had moved on there.
Well, being the veteran that Joe is, and we're all advocates of short games in spring training. You'd think the out call would be more prevalent, Ash. But
I'm a big fan. You hit it right on the money there.
No, the integrity shines through.
They know their game there with the umpires. Get Joe on the third base side now.
Joe's a good guy.
And he can sing, too.
Jonathan VR had 261 for Corpus Christi. Showed some power with 11 homers last season in that injury-shortened year. And there's strike one as he shortens up. You know, Joe came into Houston for a function just over a year ago for Dennis Laborio, longtime Astros clubhouse manager.
You threw that together, didn't you?
Well, it was really not me, but I was there.
Modesty rules here at the ballpark this afternoon. I was out of town, and Dennis, one of the great guys, longtime clubhouse guy with the Astros, is certainly missed.
Yep. 2 balls and a strike. Maybe he's watching today.
I hope so.
We hope so. Now, okay, you were here the first game in this ballpark, right, Ash?
Yes.
Any special memories of that?
None whatsoever. No, I really don't. I tell you what I have a larger memory of. Yes, I played a number of years here in spring training, but I managed a year here in the Florida State League, and crowds were not exactly what you would call large.
So the Ashby factor had not kicked in yet?
Well, as a manager, I brought in 1 to 2 fans per game.
Well, earlier we were talking about the manager's impact on a team. How many extra wins would you say you accounted for on that Kissimmee club that year?
I think the players saw it maybe on the other side of things.
Big chop to third. Here's Corbin Joseph getting the out at first, 2 down.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a good experience. Next year, apparently I had such a good year, I got called up to the big leagues as a coach for Larry Durker. And from there, it's just kind of been a lot of fun going on. Moving to the broadcast booth, and I have enjoyed every moment.
Well, you're going to enjoy the heck out of this year. Jose Altuve has been on an error. He's been hit by a pitch. As you've had a chance now to come back to this organization, does it seem like an easy fit for you returning, or just a lot of new people to learn?
I would have to say the latter right now. It's an easy fit in the sense that I love being home in Houston. The Astros are my home organization. On top of all that, I will always consider myself a Houston Astro. But now looking at a ball club that's in a rebuild, and even with a club that wouldn't be, you're still trying to learn the guys and their tendencies and what goes on. But this is a complete rebuild look for me.
True. There's a bullet to right field by Altuve. Well, he's been on an error. He was hit by a pitch, and now he singles to right field.
I asked around about Altuve, what makes him such a good hitter? And one of the answers is that he just uses the entire field. And you could see it on that fastball, staying on it a long time and putting the barrel to it.
What they call an inside-out type of hitter. And he comes out now for a pinch runner.
Earns him some batting practice on a backfield.
He's 22 years old and an all-star last year. Altuve leaving the game. And Justin Maxwell will be the batter. He struck out and flied to right. Pinch runner there at first base.
Where are those numbers on the front side when you need them?
Well, not only are the numbers not on the front side, but the names are not on the back side in Astros spring training.
That does create a challenge.
Yeah, you're very eager to do that first play-by-play assignment next week, you and Jeff Blum.
Yeah, extremely so. Thanks for pointing that out.
You'll have all of them learned by then.
Number 73 down there, that's Jose Martinez.
Okay. Wind is blowing out pretty strongly to right field right now. In tight to J-Max. 1 ball, 1 strike. Astros and the Redbirds meet tomorrow. Interleague schedule for the Astros this year, now as an American League club, will be familiar. They'll be playing all the teams in the NL Central, plus Colorado in interleague play this year. Yes. Justin Maxwell looking at it, and Bud Norris goes tomorrow against Joe Kelly in another telecast for us here on Comcast Sportsnet Houston. And Saturday, it's the Atlanta Braves coming in as the Astros have 3 straight here in their home ballpark. Eric Bedard versus Chris Medlin.
Got a chance to meet Bud Norris today. Found him to be a friendly sort.
You'll also find him to be an outstanding golfer.
That's one of the things I've heard. It's why I've stayed away to this point.
Upstairs to J-Max, and it's 3 balls and a strike with Pena on deck. Dave Clark is coaching at first base. He's moved across the diamond from his previous assignment as the third base coach, and Dave Tremblay is the third base coach this year. He was the former manager of the Baltimore Orioles and former mentor in the minor leagues of Bo Porter.
I think Dave has won my Mr. Congeniality Award here on the early part of the spring.
You bet. In the hole, backhanded. Nunez sets up and gets it over to second for the force on the pinch runner to end the 5th inning. Rick Ankiel providing the first run of this game with his first long ball of the spring. He's 2 for 2 today. He makes it 1-0 Astros. One nothing. The Astros lead the Yankees. Top of the 6th inning coming. Right-hander Ross Seaton is warming up. Lucas Harrell got it started. He went 3 shutout innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 of those of the infield variety. Got a couple double play balls. Lucas joining us now. A fine outing for you today, Lucas. How did you feel?
I felt good. Like I was saying earlier, I got a chance to work on the things I wasn't doing right my last time out, and today I just focused on throwing a lot of strikes and keeping the ball down.
Can you do that? This is Ash up here. Can you do that as you look toward the regular season? Can you take an outing like today and say that's exactly how I'm going to go after any club that you may face?
Oh yeah, definitely. When you get a chance to attack and you get a lot of early contact, and that's what I want. It's a confidence builder as well. So you can take this into the regular season. Also, you can take it into your next couple starts.
People might ask you, Lucas, well, you're in the American League now. You're playing these American League clubs in spring training. Are you going to try to take a little bit more from a game like this? Of course, you're not facing too many hitters you would be facing in a game against the Yankees, but let's say later on you're playing an American League club. Does that register any differently from you for a spring training game? Anything that you could put to your advantage later on when you meet them in a regular season?
Oh, definitely. You know, you see these guys from the American League, and just facing them, it's one of those things to where you can take away a lot because maybe you can figure out a weakness they have before the season starts. That's why I was hoping to get to throw against a lot of American League teams down here. So one, I kind of get a feel for their hitters, and maybe they can get a little feel for me too. But I feel like once I get used to a team and some hitters, I feel like it kind of works to my advantage.
You know, we were chatting up here a little earlier about the fact that you guys do not see any American League West clubs over the course of the spring. And most people will say through the years that pitchers have the advantage when a hitter hasn't seen a pitcher. What's your thought? Does it help the pitcher, or does it aid anybody?
I think it just depends on the day. You know, if you have your good stuff that day, I feel like, you know, and a guy hasn't seen you before, I feel like it helps. But maybe, you know, my strength is my sinker and my cutter, and maybe a lefty hits the ball in well, and, you know, maybe you don't get it in far enough, and, you know, so it can work to the hitter's advantage, but it can also work to the pitcher's advantage as well.
Oh, Ross Seaton with a hit batter there on Merton, got him around the left wrist area as that one got away up and in. Well, let's go back to last year, Lucas, when you were 11-11 and you pitched a number of fine games with Chris Snyder, the catcher, and now he's no longer on the scene. What difference does that make to you?
It makes a little bit of difference. It just means, you know, I got to get that same comfortability with Castro and Corporon moving forward from spring training. And I feel like today was a day where Castro and I were on the same page. You know, when I was going to my glove with a grip, he was calling that pitch, so it was pretty much we were on the same page the whole time. And I think as we grow to get to know each other a little bit better, it'll be one of those things to where we'll be on the same page more and more.
I think it's pretty natural that everybody is going to be talking quite a bit about Bo Porter, your new skipper. And a lot of times managers seem to have more of a running conversation with position players, guys that are out there playing every day. How much impact is he having on the pitching staff?
He's got a lot of impact. You know, he's a guy that he puts off a lot of confidence, and it rubs off on us. You know, when you look over and you're in the 6th or 7th inning, and it's you know you're about done, and you see the manager and the pitching coach sitting down. It's like, hey, you know, they have confidence in me that I'm going to get this guy out. So even though you may know it might be your last batter, so just stuff like that's going to help us out this year as a pitching staff. Whereas, you know, last year a little bit I thought we kind of jumped the gun a few times and on pulling people out of the game.
Do you think you have more depth in the starting rotation this year?
Oh, definitely. You know, I mean, I think you got Bud's the only guy that's pretty much guaranteed a spot already on the team, and then you got, you know, me, Humber, Phil, Alex, and Eli, Bedard, Lyles, and we're all fighting, you know, for those other 4 spots. So I think it's a good competition, and we got a lot of good guys that are going to be in the competition as well.
You know, I saw comments maybe a week or so ago that you said Bud Norris is the opening day starter, but deep down inside, and maybe you're not willing to reveal deep down inside, you have to be thinking about the possibility that you could be that guy.
You know, it's a big compliment for people to say that, but I mean, I'm still looking at it as I need to make the team. I know a lot of people say that, you know, they think, you know, I've already made the team, but you know, for me, it's one of those things that you can't get comfortable. You know, I've kind of pitched that way my whole career, where, you know, I've never been guaranteed a spot anywhere, and I think it's worked to my advantage. So I'm trying to pitch that way here. Just, you know, kind of be relaxed, but yet go out there and you know, and really work hard and try to make sure I perform well.
Do you sense any kind of a change of mindset with Bo Porter now in terms of starting pitchers staying in games longer?
I think that has to do, one, with him, and also, two, with we're moving to the American League. You know, you can run a starting pitcher out there for 150 pitches, or I mean not 150, 115, 120 pitches, because the fact is that, you know, they're not going to have to bat, so you don't have to have a pinch hitter. You know, in a situation in the 5th inning where it's a close game and you might need a run and the pitcher's coming up, you won't see the pinch hitter. So I think that'll have a little bit to do with it as well.
And have you been checking the box scores to see about those lineups in the American League West that you'll be facing?
Yeah, I look at it as a challenge, but it's also something that I'm definitely looking forward to, because the fact is, you know, they say those are, you know, 3 of the best teams in baseball are out there in the American League West. So if you want to kind of give ourselves a measuring stick of where we're at, being in that division is going to help us do that right away.
You know, it just seems, talking to people like yourself, Lucas, and reading the stories from what's going on in that Houston clubhouse, that you guys are building a pretty good esprit de corps here in spring training. Is that your sense of it?
Definitely. You know, I feel like compared to last year, you know, we had little groups in the clubhouse where, you know, maybe these guys hung out together and these guys hang out together, and it didn't really mingle all that well, and the chemistry wasn't as good. And I definitely feel like this year the chemistry, everybody, you know, it starts with, you know, Carlos Pena, where he came in to me when I met him at the Caravan. He's like, you know, we need to make this a family. He's like, you know, he goes, I heard some stuff here last year. He says, you know, we need to make that change. He said everybody needs to be close and, you know, have each other's back and know that we're all pulling from the same chain.
You feel like Carlos Pena coming over, a veteran guy that has a reputation of being a leader on their team, is taking that role and taking it seriously?
Oh, definitely. You know, he's probably one of the hardest workers we have, and he leads by example. So, you know, it's one of those things to where he's gonna help out a lot of us young guys and definitely show us how to do things the right way.
Nunez with a little limbo action there at home plate.
Yeah, a little up and in, huh?
Yeah.
Let him know that it's our plate.
Well, that brings up an interesting point. Dennis Martinez was chatting with me yesterday about that very thing, Lucas, about pitching inside. And there's Seaton, and he throws it into center field. And he bounced that one. He had both the second baseman and shortstop going to cover. There seemed to be a little indecision on his part, and he threw it into center field.
You know, that brings up the perfect opportunity. We're talking to a major league pitcher. Lucas Harrell, what is it? It's spring training, and oftentimes we get to July and August and we say during spring training pitchers work on this play over and over and over. And yet, and here we are in spring training, I get to ask the same question. What is it that makes that play such a difficult throw for a lot of pitchers?
I think a lot of times when you see a pitcher make a bad throw, as you saw, the ball was hit to his arm side, and he had to spin. You know, he kind of had to turn away from arm side, and that makes it a little bit tougher throw if you don't set your feet exactly right. And so that's the one you either see thrown high, or like he threw it there, he threw it low. So it's something that you really got to focus on when as you turn to get your feet set.
Do you guys talk about the focus point being chest high, right up over the heart of the bag?
Yeah, you know, that's my first key point is when I catch the ball and I turn is I look immediately at the bag, because if the shortstop or second baseman isn't there yet, they're going to be there. So when I turn to throw it, I'm throwing the ball to the bag. I'm not throwing it to the shortstop, you know, because when you start doing that, you might throw it behind them because they're moving, or you might lead them too much and then they run off the bag and just to catch the ball to try to keep the ball in front. So you really want to throw the ball to the bag.
Yeah, I think it's dangerous to try to play quarterback and lead the receiver. Just throw it right over the bag.
Yes.
Jason Nix takes one up. 2 balls, no strikes. Back to the Dennis Martinez conversation I had yesterday, Lucas, and he really stressed that a pitcher needs to command the fastball to the outside corner and also to the inside corner. You work both sides of the plate very well. How much does that help you, the ability to back a right-handed hitter out of there and then catch the outside corner with the next pitch, maybe?
It does a lot. You know, we actually talked about it today with Roger, and he was asking me a little bit because I do throw a lot of sinkers, and I said it's very important for me to get guys out in, especially just to show them in early in the game, because when I need that pitch in the 6th or 7th inning to get me out of a jam, I might need to go away, and it might be an account to where, you know, it's a 2-2 count, and, you know, and I've got this guy in, so maybe he's thinking, hey, he's going to come back in here, so he's cheating, and then you throw that pitch out in the outer half and he thinks it's in, and he cheats and he hits that ball off the end of the bat and gets a ground ball double play. Like, I think that happened a little bit with Nix today. He hit that ground ball double play to second, and I face him a lot. I've got him out in a lot. That's why I went to a cutter there away, thinking, you know, maybe he's going to cheat here in this situation, thinking I'm coming in, and just try to get him to roll over to short, and I got lucky and he hit the ball to second.
Do you think that this is something you've really perfected since reaching the major leagues, much more than you did as a minor leaguer?
Yeah, I think it's a big key to my success to be able to command the ball down and away, down and in, and it goes along with the consistency thing. You know, I felt like that was a lot of the success last year too. The fact is that I was more consistent. I repeated my delivery. I was able to throw inside and outside, move guys off the plate. You know, and also a lot of things people don't know too, that, you know, when they're just watching the game, as a starter, if you're moving guys' feet and you're keeping the ball in and making guys uncomfortable, when guys come in the game as relievers, you know, it helps them out. So as a starter, it's your job too to help out the relievers by getting guys out in, so when they come in the game, they can use that outer half of the plate.
Next, a little dribbler to third.
Come on, get that.
Brandon Laird got the out at second. And that's out number 2. Sam Demmel warming up.
You know, we just got a chance to see Doug Rocaille out at the mound as the pitching coach. What kind of guy is he at the Hill?
He's good, you know. A couple times last year he came out to me and the conversation was short and quick. He's like, what are you thinking? And, I was like, well, I think at one time I had nobody out, and there was a guy on first and third, and we were at home against Cincinnati, and he just said, what are you thinking? I was like, I know if I give up the run, I said, it's 2-0. I said, if I get a ground ball double play, I give up the run, but I get 2 outs. And I said, and we still have the lead, so I'm gonna try to sink this guy in and get a ground ball double play, and just kind of go ahead and give up the run. And he said, okay, he just turned around and walked back in. And then other times he's come out there and he's like, he's asked me something totally non-related to baseball, just because he thinks, maybe I'm overthinking stuff, and just to get my mind off of it for a second. So he reads us very well, and he kind of sees, if we're wearing down out there, or if what our problem is out there. He might just say something simple as, you look in the dugout, and he might just tap his shoulder saying, hey, you're flying open a little bit, stay back a little bit. So he's very good at what he does, and he's definitely helped me out a lot.
Would you agree that when it gets too technical out there during a ball game, it can be a little disconcerting?
Yeah, I mean, pitching is something that's very easy to overthink. You got the hitter up there, you got lefty, righty. Now you're thinking slider, cutter, curveball, changeup. And that's the thing. Sometimes, when I feel like when I've had my best games, I wasn't thinking at all. I was just throwing what the catcher was throwing and throwing it to the location he was setting up. And so it's not that you're not thinking, it's just that you're not overthinking.
You're simplifying.
Yeah, simple stupid is what I call it. Keep it simple, stupid.
We do that very well up here.
Yeah.
Looping line drive will tie this game 1-1. And it'll be first and third for the Yankees with Almonte coming through. So it's a 1-win game now. Lucas, what would be your favorite non-baseball conversation when Doug Brocail comes to the mound? What you're going to have for dinner that night, or anything to get your mind off the game?
I think last year he came out and he goes, yeah, he said something like, how are you doing? I was like, I'm doing good. He goes, well, you look really good, and just turned around and ran back off. and I just laughed, and then I got a ground ball double play and got out of a jam. So anytime you have a good mound visit like that, and you get a ground ball double play to get out of it, I came back in, and he high-fived me, and we just laughed about it. So it was definitely one of those things where it was a good mound visit, and it was just, it was just one of those things where you don't really think, like people always think, well, maybe he's going out there and saying something that helped him, get a ground ball, but he just, just taking your mind off of it.
I've always hated to try to analyze what is being said at the Hill, because as a former catcher, I know that it's not always what's expected.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, sometimes he'll run out there, and he would say stuff to you before even Snyder or Castro would get out to me. So.
Lucas, thanks so much for joining us. Sam Demmel coming in, and we had a chance to chat pretty extensively here in the 6th inning. Glad, not certainly that the Yankees scored a run, but glad we had a chance to talk with you a little bit more extensively. And once again, a fine outing today, and look forward to seeing you very early, perhaps game 2 of the season. We'll wait and see what happens with that.
Definitely, and that would be a great honor to get the second start as well.
Thanks to Lucas Harrell, and he got things started very well with 3 scoreless. Then Brad Peacock, a couple of scoreless innings. Ross Seaton coming in here, hit the first batter, Merton, and then giving up the RBI single to Almonte to tie it. That leads to Sam Demmel. He's from Channelview, Texas. Just joined the Astros organization. He had been with Arizona. And it'll be Matt Diaz coming up next. He's 0 for 2 as Demmel tries to get out of this first and third 2-out jam. Ash?
For Seaton, maybe the key of the inning, not giving up the leadoff hit batter or the base hit with 2 outs to drive in the run, but in between, that failure to maybe get a double play on a ground ball back to the mound that says double play right from the start.
Good point. That was Ross's first outing. He's a Houston guy, went to Second Baptist, and he'll get another chance this spring. Usually in spring training, if a young pitcher like Ross Seaton, who's getting his first real break in Major League spring training, has an outing like that, the pitching coach will go up to him and say, we're not going to count that one. Should be able to throw one out in the spring, Ash, don't you think?
Oh, I think so. And I think if, as a pitching coach, your goal is to get everybody as confident and successful as can be, you want to provide as many of those opportunities as can be. You don't want that youngster going home tonight and fretting over what happened. Here's what we saw, and tomorrow maybe we'll come back and get some work and see if we can get it even a little more honed the next time you're out there.
Now it's Diaz versus Demmel. Demmel pitched only once for Arizona last year. He was at Reno, their AAA club, for 56 games. It's a foul ball there, strike one. He had pitched, though, more extensively in 2010 and 2011 for the D-backs. He had been drafted by Oakland in the 3rd round in 07, then traded for Connor Jackson in June of 2010. Went to TCU, where he was a reliever there, but he also has been a starter at some point in the minor leagues. He's been a reliever primarily in the big leagues. Jason Jaramillo is the catcher. He just came into the game in this half inning, as well as the center fielder Robbie Grossman. Brandon Laird is at third base. And Martinez, the pinch runner, who relieved Altuve at first in the bottom of the last inning, stayed in to play second. Jose Martinez. 5 hits for the Yankees, 3 for the Astros. And that one moves Diaz off the plate for a 2-ball, 1-strike count. Well, as for the Yankees, they're embroiled in that tough AL East race again this year. And that should be fun for American League fans to follow, what with the resurgence of the Baltimore Orioles last year, to see if they can maintain their standing. And many of the experts are predicting that they will not be able to do that. They can feed off that in their spring training. That's some more food for Buck Showalter, and he loves that kind of negativity on the media to use that as an inspiration to his club.
I think the Yankees and the Red Sox draw most of the attention. Tampa Bay has been a team that tends to slip in. Joe Madden is a heck of a manager down in St. Petersburg. Last year, Baltimore played very well. They've got a talented bunch over there, and they got some pitching. They needed it.
With a runner going, the shortstop was breaking the cover, and there's a hit behind him for Diaz to give the Yankees a 2-1 lead. A single through that hole vacated when VR moved up the middle with Almonte running on the pitch. So Diaz drives in the run to give the Yankees the lead.
But I was about to say, in that American League East, the Toronto Blue Jays have become players now. And if you check with Las Vegas, you might find that they kind of like him as a chance to, like that club as a chance to win in that division. So that could be a real topsy-turvy division.
That is some kind of a club after the trade they made with the Marlins, bringing in the pitching talent of a Josh Johnson and a Mark Burley, bringing in Jose Reyes, Emilio Bonifacio. That was a huge deal. And folks in Blue Jays territory up in Toronto really enthused about the club they have in 2013.
Blue Jays gave up some extremely talented young players in that deal. So it's not like they just simply made a steal. They may have made a steal for right now. And I think that's what the Blue Jays were trying to do.
Elkie Mesa chops that one foul. Strike one. If you had to handicap the AL East, and it looks as if the Yankees not only becoming an older club now, they do get Mariano Rivera back at age 43 this year. Jeter coming off the broken ankle. Granderson has a broken arm. So they have those injuries to deal with. They had the age to deal with of their club. They have lost some key performers from last year. But nonetheless, it would be difficult to say that the Yankees wouldn't be a factor. You have the Birds, a young emerging team. Pitch out there, nothing doing. The Toronto Blue Jays are being picked, I think, by a fair number of people to win that division. Tampa Bay always seems to surprise. And that should be one division that bears watching very closely this year for baseball fans.
Yeah, the Yankees are getting older, but they've won the division 3 of the last 4 years. Andy Pettit's back with the starting staff. It's a hard team because of the age that you bring up to analyze and say what they are likely to do this year. Can Derek Jeter continue his resurgence? Last year was a big turnaround for Derek. They've got Robinson Cano, who offensively probably puts up the best numbers in the game as a second baseman. A-Rod, who knows if we'll even see him play this year.
True.
It's a really tough team to analyze, but I wouldn't count them out, I'll tell you that much.
No, beware of that. And Phil Hughes, who's supposed to be a part of their rotation, has a bulging disc right now. Hard to know what they'll get from him. They have another good right-hander, Hiroki Kuroda, to join Sabathia Pettit. They have Ivan Nova. Pretty solid bullpen, assuming Rivera returns to form.
Yeah, that's a big assumption, but in his case, I'd probably anticipate he'll be real good.
Kevin Youkilis has joined them, and he can fill in at third for A-Rod. He has a sore oblique right now. They signed Travis Hafner to do some DHing. Mark Teixeira did not have a very good year at all by his standards. If he returns to top form, that's really going to help. They have Ichiro. They still have some talent.
What happens with some of these players that have been implicated in the South Florida PED situation that's come up here in the past month? Alex Rodriguez being one of those. Might we see some of these players get some severe sanctions against them?
Good question. Hard to answer that right now. There have been a lot of denials from players who have been linked with that investigation.
I'm not sure I've ever heard of a player who said, "You got me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Well, the Yankees will open 2013 missing 155 home runs from the guys in last year's lineup with left. But they hit a club record 245 home runs last year. They really were mashers last year.
Curtis Granderson being a big part of that. Granderson, what a home run figure he's become playing in the Yankee Stadium with that short right field porch. I think Astros fans are going to have a blast getting to see games against the Yankees, Red Sox, and then everything that happens in the American League West. That is one tough division in the West.
True. Yeah. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Some think the AL West is the toughest division in baseball. Where do you go with that?
Well, I have felt in the past 5-6 years that the American League East was the toughest division. And maybe in good part because, and they may have been with the Yankees and Red Sox being who they have been. Tampa Bay, a team that always gets overlooked and yet has a chance to win the division when the season comes to a conclusion. But what they've done in the West, they have stopped it.
Deep drive to left field, looking like a 3-run homer, and Melky Mesa has unloaded. Well, the Yankees, with an explosive 6th inning, have grabbed the lead and now added to it as it becomes 5-1 on a 3-run homer by Mesa.
Well, that's what you call no doubt. And it comes from a guy that, frankly, not many of us in the ballpark know much about. But one thing we have figured out is he's got some pop in the bat.
He sure does. That's number 1 of the spring for Melky Mesa. Melky Cabrera in Toronto, Melky Mesa in New York. The Milkmen are delivering. He's 26. He hit 14 homers at Trenton, 9 more at AAA Scranton last year, and had just 2 at-bats as a Yankee. So strike to Cervelli. He's 0 for 2.
Boy, you really look back at that missed opportunity at the double play in the inning. An inning that has put 5 on the board already and probably should have been finished without a run for New York.
Well, one thing about spring training that can be very helpful is using mistakes as learning opportunities.
And if I'm Bo Porter, and I don't think he needs me to discuss it at all, he'll probably be saying to Doug Brocail and anybody who works with the pitching staff defensively, we need some extra work on that pitcher's fielding practice.
1 ball, 2 strikes. You know, when you look at the career of a guy like a Greg Maddux and how much he helped himself just as a fielder, it was incredible. And how often he induced hitters to hit the ball up the middle to him.
He was the 5th infielder and then some.
He was.
And so many pitchers, really, if you watch the way they fall off and provide no defense, they are less than an infielder out there. And sometimes when they do manage to make a play with the glove, they mess it up with the arm.
And do you find that quite often it's tougher for a pitcher to shrug off his own error than the error of a teammate?
Might be that. And you tell infielders, outfielders, don't let it bother you on the next ball hit your way. But the next ball that the pitcher deals with is coming right out of his hand.
Yes. That's what's so different about this sport. The defensive team initiates the play every time, and that's why people love it so much. It is that different from the other sports, and it always seems to come down to making plays in those tight games.
Well, you look at the Astros, and they've got to get better offensively, and I think they've got a good chance of doing that. They've got to get better on the mound. Time will tell. They've got to get better defensively and help themselves out from the mound.
Right.
And without the defense playing solidly behind, even if you score a bunch of runs early, and Bo Porter talks about trying to get ahead early and defend late, you may not have that chance to defend if you cough up the runs like this.
Sure. And quite often in a baseball game, there's a tipping point, a play not made that can mushroom.
Well, a lot of times you juggle plays and decide which one was most meaningful. In this ball game, to this point, we're just in the 6th inning, but it's a no-doubter for me. It's that would-be, should-be double play ground ball hit back to the mound.
It's Eduardo Perez, who was about halfway in your picture to the right, as you saw it, of Bo Porter. He's the new bench coach, son of Hall of Famer Tony Perez. Slowly hit ball, VR. Taking care of it. And the elusive third out finally comes the Astros' way after the 3-run homer by Melky Mesa. His first of the spring makes it 5-1 Yankees. Follow the Astros this spring and all season long with MLB.com At Bat for your phone, iPad, iPod Touch, and Android devices. At Bat delivers spring training wherever you are with scores, stats, searchable video, live audio, and more. Text At Bat to 31826 or visit Astros.com for details. Or if you see Alan Ashby at the ballpark, ask him how this crazy thing works.
I'm hiding out, not easy to find. Hanging with Brownie, you can't get away from most people when you do so, though. He was the center of attention.
There's the center orbit. The brand new orbit, the 2013 version.
Kind of redefines taking one in the ear, doesn't it?
We have a new catcher, Austin Romine, in the game. Kevin Mahoney's at third base for the Yankees. There's number 97, Mike O'Brien.
We've got the O'Brien-Mahoney combination out there for the Yanks.
Mike came in, gave up the Rick Ankiel homer, but now it could be the winning pitcher as Carlos Pena leads it off in the 6th inning. And there's strike one to Carlos. He spent some time in the National League briefly with the Chicago Cubs, but primarily his productive years have come as a Tampa Bay Ray. That one goes in the air, and the left fielder is headed for foul ground, just watching that sail back toward the Astros clubhouse for strike two.
I don't see any outfield talent amongst that group right there trying to haul that fly ball in.
You know, Jeff Luhnow talked about Pena's resume when he was on with us. He had 46 homers for the Rays in 07, 39 more in 09. This one goes, and the shift was on, and it gets by the third baseman, Kevin Mahoney, loops over him into left field. He was the only guy who had a chance to make that play, but Pena just looped it over him, and he gets a little pop fly single. Dave Clark likes that.
Not sure what was on the mind of Carlos Pena. You'll see right here, not the best of swings. Kind of fights one, but he comes up with the base hit. And bottom line, I guess that's all that really matters. Not a great jump there by the third baseman. If you wear number 99, you're probably not anticipated to make great jumps.
His objective to lower that number for next year. Pinch runner at first base, and Chris Carter is going to be the batter here. Carter 0 for 1 with a walk. And there's strike one. Mike O'Brien is pitcher number 3. Marshall started 3 innings of 1 hit shutout ball for the Houston area pitcher, and then Betances worked around a couple of walks. He had a scoreless frame. No balls, 2 strikes to Chris Carter. One of the newcomers in Astros camp this spring. And that trade occurred, bringing him to a Houston uniform pretty close to the beginning of spring training. He hasn't had too long to settle in. And that takes care of out number 1. Jake Gobert, the pinch runner.
And when you're watching Chris Carter, you will see some strikeouts. And of course, Carlos Pena, we've talked about him and his propensity to strike out. But with Chris Carter, I think in particular, you're looking at certainly a potential cornerstone for the offense and what can happen this year and years to come. Great power.
Jason Jaramillo comes up for the first time. Switch hitting catcher, looks at ball 1. Among the non-roster catchers in Astros camp. They've really worked hard over the offseason to improve their catching depth. Jason's 31. He came up with the Phillies, was traded to Pittsburgh, then he was with the Cubs. Last year he was in the minor leagues all season. The Astros signed him to a AAA deal as a free agent in January. He's an Oklahoma State guy. Very good college credentials for Jason Jaramillo. 235 major league average, and he's had 336 at bats. 2 balls and a strike. Astros minor league clubs in the United States had the best combined winning percentage of any organization's U.S.-based minor league clubs last year, and that was a drastic reversal from the year before. So a lot of what you see here in spring training will be from players who will be in the minor leagues. But there's a lot you won't see as well, because those players will be in minor league camp and they'll be coming in, the position players, this weekend. And that's really where the Astros have made huge strides in stocking their minor league clubs for this year. Jaramillo takes the walk, and it's J.D. Martinez coming up. He's 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. That's a big part of any organization, though, Ash. We're seeing a lot of big league players here, but it's what is happening down below the major league level that's really going to help this organization when you get to 2014 and beyond.
Well, I think it's one of the big differences between the club right now, we hope anyway, from the one that was running out there in 2010 and 2011. Obviously not playing well at the big league level, and on the minor league level, the organization had the worst combined record for their minor league teams during that period of time. They've come a long way and now ranked in the top 10, depending on who you listen to in terms of minor league organizations, and trying to add to that.
It's 5-1. The Yankees lead the Astros here. We'll be right back to Kissimmee right after this. takes over on the mound for them. Big number 91. And the Astros with J.D. Martinez at the plate have runners at first and second in the bottom of the 6th inning after the Yankees got 5 in the top of the 6th. Claremont, Florida, the 6'4", 24-year-old right-hander weighs 210. Astros have been held to 4 hits. The Yankees have 7. There's strike 1 to J.D. Martinez. It was 0-0 until the Astros got a Rick Ankiel homer leading off the home 5th inning. Ankiel 2 for 2 in this game. And he has come out of the lineup. He will not be batting next. J.D. Martinez hopes to be part of a very big inning here. Taking that one for a ball for a 1-ball, 1-strike count. J.D.'s nursing situation with the bone in his left hand, the hamate bone, being sore. So he's got that wrist guard on. He's getting treatment, and he's choking up on the bat a little bit more than he used to with the left hand. Not being subjected to quite as much pressure that way. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You know, a lot of guys, Ash, put that left hand down over the knob, right-handed batters. They're actually gripping the knob in their hand, and I think that leads to a lot of these hand injuries. But they want to try to create as much leverage as they can.
I have that same tendency, especially batting left-handed. I like to drop the knob into one of the fingers. I always felt like it was a kind of a point from which I could pull the bat. And so there's a feeling once you start doing something, it's hard to change. But there's the other way, the old style way.
How's that one? Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. You get a chance to see a lot of players in an organization in a spring training game sometimes, especially when they get crazy, as many of them do. Mark Krause is on deck. So if you're a real, true baseball fan who likes to know everything you can find out about an organization, spring training baseball might be your answer this time of year. Whoops. He was hit on the right hand. But J.D. almost got drilled in the 4th inning, and then he struck out against the big right-hander Betances. This time he does get hit.
Watch what happens to catchers. You take one right there on the knee. Yeah, there's a shin guard there, but that's tough. And a lot of times it's the catcher that gets just eaten up on these plays.
True.
What do you mean he gets to take a base? What about me?
J.D. comes out for a pinch runner as Mark Krause settles into the batter's box. Pinch runner on at first as Krause tries to advance the inning with the bases loaded now. Mark's 25 years old. He's from Deschler, Ohio. Played at Ohio University, where he was the Mid-American Conference Player of the Year in 2009. Traded along with Bobby Bortring in the Chris Johnson trade last July. And that's ball 1 to Krause. He's in a DH, replacing Rick Ankiel, who was 2 for 2 with a long ball today. The vital stats on Mark Krause. 2nd round pick by Arizona in the 2009 season. Last year he played at AA Mobile, and then after the trade, AA Corpus Christi. Hit .414 in 29 at bats for the Hooks. 1 ball, 1 strike after hitting 15 homers at Mobile and 346 at bats. And he walked 73 times there. So his on base average a fine .416 for Mobile. For those of you who are into that sort of thing, and many who would watch a spring training game on a Thursday afternoon are, Ash.
You better be.
It's a requirement.
Yeah, enjoy the weather wherever you happen to be seated. Kind of nice stuff.
Be hard to beat a day like this. In the dirt, and it's 3 balls and a strike. Brandon Laird on deck for the Astros. This is the first telecast for the Astros on the brand new Comcast Sportsnet Houston setup, and first of 10 spring training games. We'll have one with the Cubs coming in to Minute Maid Park at the end of the month of March. The others will be from Florida. And Bill Brown and Alan Ashby working this game for you today. Another one coming your way, same time tomorrow as today, 11:30 for the pregame show. 12 o'clock game time, Central Time. And then Jeff Blum moves into the picture next week to work with Ash and do some more games from spring training.
I think it's going to be fun. I think Jeff is going to be very good. Great personality, and when he was one of the players in Houston, he was one of the turn-to guys in terms of interviews.
Absolutely. So he'll have the same kind of pressure an umpire has when he's hired. He'd be expected to be perfect the first day and then get better after that.
That's exactly right. At least in the case of an umpire, you better be perfect, at least when I'm hitting.
Bases loaded, walk to Krause, makes it 5-2 now. And it'll bring up Brandon Laird for the first time. The Yankees with some wildness from Green. Now he's getting a visit, leaded by 3, and there's one out in the inning as the Astros hope to return the favor after a 5-run Yankee 6th. Ross Seaton in 2/3 of an inning in the top of the 6th allowed 1 hit, 3 runs. They were all unearned. Brandon Laird is a guy who's attracted a lot of attention here from the skipper Bo Porter with the way he has swung the bat this spring. He just likes the way Laird commands the strike zone with his bat. Feels that he could be a contributor even if he is not an everyday player. He thinks that he has the type of approach that could work as a pinch hitter from time to time. But I think Bo's going to keep everybody involved. I think he's going to give players at least periodic starts from the sounds of things. There's strike 1.
I think when it's all said and done for Bo Porter, it's probably wise to have maybe a player or 2 make this roster, guys that weren't anticipated to make it coming in, because he has told the players, if you play well, you've got a chance to find your way into the fold.
That's hit well to right center field toward the 410 sign for Brandon Laird. And Laird takes the tour on a grand slam home run. And the Astros have the lead again in a crazy 6th inning in Kissimmee. So Laird goes deep. That's his 3rd hit in 8 at-bats this spring. And the Astros are in front 6-5.
And for Brandon Laird, it is welcome to the intense spotlight time, because he is going to get an even further look now. That nice steady hands, obviously the body with a lot of movement, and then drives it, taking advantage of a wind blowing out a bit toward right center field. But that's a big part of the ballpark.
First home run for Brandon Laird. Now Jonathan Villar looks at ball 1. What a 6th inning here in Kissimmee. The Yankees got 5 in the top half. The Astros have scored 5 in the bottom half so far. That was chopped foul by Jonathan Villar.
So George Springer is no longer the story in camp.
Tell you what, with the heroics that Springer provided yesterday with 2 homers and 5 runs batted in, now Laird in his first at bat of the day, delivering a grand slam, lifting his club in front 6-5. There's been some offense to talk about.
Laird showed that he has a thirst for greatness.
That's to left field and caught as Villar makes out number 2 of the inning. That's George Springer.
Yeah, that's the guy that lit it up yesterday, but he's been lighting it up all spring. Everybody's been watching George Springer, and I don't think it's going to stop.
Very talented young man from the University of Connecticut, 1st-round draft choice. And he is a very good package of good defensive abilities, speed, power. Now this one goes in the air, and Martinez has chased the center fielder deep. Oh, it drops on the warning track. He's going to keep running and head for 3rd. Here's the relay to 3rd base. Martinez hits the deck, and he's in there.
Garcia, the young center fielder, is going to find they don't believe that that's an outstanding play in center field in New York. Play obviously should have been made. So when you look at a base runner going hard and taking 3 bags on this play, good to see.
His name may be Adonis Garcia, but they will not be making any Greek statues of that play. Martinez hits the deck. So 6-5, the Astros pressing for more, and it's Robbie Grossman batting. Cy-Fair High School in Houston, Texas. Grossman looks at ball one. A switch hitting outfielder who came from the Pittsburgh Pirates in the Wandy Rodriguez deal. Grossman is another of those players obtained by Jeff Luhnow, who has carried high on base averages through his career. An intriguing guy who draws a lot of walks, runs well, good defender, somebody to watch for the future. 3 balls, no strikes to Grossman. Well, the Astros had hit .321 as a team in their first 6 games coming into this one. This offense coming around late today. They had no runs on 1 hit through 4. Now Grossman takes the walk.
18 hits yesterday. It really doesn't hurt that team batting average cause at all.
Not a bit. And Green suffering at this stage of the game. He's given up the lead. The grand slam by Laird, giving the Astros that 1-run margin right now. Jake Gobert coming up.
I guess part of spring training for the broadcasters is getting your scorekeeping tools back together.
Good luck with that. On a day like this.
How's it coming for you?
Not well, but it was going great for about 5 innings.
Yes, it was. Where's Lucas Harrell when we need him?
It's the back end of spring training games that can get wild quite often. Gobert takes a look at that one, and it's high, ball 1. Jake, 25 years old. He's from Hoffman Estates, Illinois. Went to Northwestern. Played at Corpus Christi most of the year. Just a few at-bats at Oklahoma City. He hit .304 at Corpus. Had 9 homers and drove in 53. And he's another guy with an eye-popping on-base average. .399 was his on-base average for the Hooks. He had 55 walks and 57 strikeouts. That's kind of balance a lot of stat freaks like to look for. And watch that particular type of player. He was a 13th round pick in '09 from Northwestern. This one goes toward foul ground in left field, and that loops in for a hit. Another run coming home to make it 7-5. Gobert in, and he is safe at second with a pop fly double. Driving in a run. 10th man to bat in the inning.
That's not how hard you hit him a lot of times. It's where you hit him. You're going to hit it in the air, a little pop up like this. Find a spot down either side.
Big Nate Fryman's going to come up to hit.
I think when Joe Girardi, the skipper of the Yankees, finds out about what went on today in Dunedin, or rather in Kissimmee, he's going to be glad he didn't make the trip.
Oh, you bet. We'll be right back with the score 7-5 Houston. has seen this game flip-flop. The Yankees grabbed 5 in the top half of the frame. They took a 5-1 lead. Now the Astros have bounced back with 6 in the bottom half. They lead at 7-5. Vidal Nuno, a lefty, has come out of the bullpen. He is pitcher number 5 of the day. Tony Pena managing this club. As the Yankees have a split squad day today, they have another team playing at home. What's so funny?
Where did Vidal play last year?
I'm not sure.
5'11". He looks taller than that, too.
He really does. It's one of those days to learn your Yankees. Vidal Nuno coming in with runners at second and third, and big Nate Fryman, the batter. Very interesting guy in Astros camp. A Rule 5 pick from the San Diego Padres. Strapping 6'7", and he has really attracted some attention. The way he swung the bat so far. There's ball 1. He also runs pretty well for a guy that size. He was an 8th round pick by the Padres in 09. Went to Duke University. He had a big year, Ash, at San Antonio, hitting .298, 24 homers, 105 runs batted in.
If he doesn't watch out, he might find himself having a year in Houston. This guy is creating a bit of a stir here in the camp.
He is. Yeah, there's been a stir in several different areas. It's been a pretty interesting first week. 2 balls and a strike to Fryman. Fryman is 5 for 13 this spring. 2 of those hits doubles, and he's driven in 3.
He's just so impressive physically. Some people say maybe the reputation that he doesn't play all that well defensively, but if he can swing a big bat, they may try to coach him a good deal on that defensive side.
It's a good point, Ash. And with the DH now, the Astros do have more flexibility to carry an extra player offensively who may not be used a whole lot in the field.
Look, this Astros club last year found it to the bottom because they were last among 30 teams in runs scored. Now, they struggled on the other facets of the game we've talked about, but you go across the numbers offensively, and they were either dead last or right next to it, and so there's a lot of room for improvement.
There is. And since the 40-man roster that was a Houston club at the end of last season, 20 of those players have turned over. That's a big turnover. Strike 3 call ends it in the 6th inning. The Astros come up with 6. They get a grand slam from Laird to take the lead, and then they extend it to 2, leading it now 7-5.
Nuno works that off-speed stuff pretty well. We go to the 7th inning. It's a 7-5 Astros lead. A wild and woolly 6th inning. 6 runs for Houston, 5 for the Yankees. Say, you're looking for the perfect way to combine business and baseball, or a unique space to hold your next event? With the state-of-the-art meeting spaces, Minute Maid Park can surpass all of your needs. Call 713-259-8800 for more information. Don't forget to ask about softball games and batting practice, for that matter.
Maiden voyage for the Astros on Comcast Sportsnet Houston, and it's a dandy today. A real frog strangler, 7-5. The Astros leading it.
Frog strangler.
Yeah. We've got all kinds of different logos going today. I like the guy with the nice new orange cap. There's Brett Oberholzer's first pitch, and it's ball 1. Kevin Mahoney leading it off here in the Yankees' 7th inning. Oberholzer is 23 years old. Came from the Atlanta Braves in the trade in July of 11 for Michael Bourne. The appeal went down. Joe West said he checked his swing, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. Brett Oberholzer was an 8th-round pick of Atlanta in 08. He's from Delaware, went to Seminole Community College in Florida. Last year, pitched at Corpus and Oklahoma City. He brings that in for a strike. That makes it 2-1. Each club with 7 hits. The Yankees have the only error. That's a swing and a miss. Yeah, that's not right, because the Astros made an error in the 6th, didn't they?
A crucial error.
Yes, they did. Each club has 1 error. We have to grant the scoreboard operators a little slack in spring training. Everybody's getting used to the game again. And a strikeout for Oberholzer.
Well, when you're the left-hander on the hill and you get a chance to face some left-handed bats, you want to take advantage. This pitch not maybe in a great location, but nonetheless the punch out.
Greg Bird's the batter. There's a good location for Oberholzer. Strike 1. Last year, Brad was 5-7 at Oklahoma City with a 4.52 ERA. That's in the air and out of play for a strike. Tomorrow it's the St. Louis Cardinals here. Bud Norris versus Joe Kelly. Bud has been a Cardinal killer in his career. I mean, he had some of his best games against Albert Pujols and company. It's so different for a lot of people this spring for the Astros now that they're an American League club. Looking for different rivals in a brand new circuit. No balls, 2 strikes. But the Astros will play the Redbirds this year, so Bud may be facing them again during the regular season.
I would imagine the assumption would be that the Rangers will be the immediate rival. I don't know if they've really been a rival through the Silver Boot years. I'm not really sure, but well, there's a lot to see in that Angels club. That's a talented bunch, and Mike Trout is really something.
He is something. And you know, we were talking about George Springer earlier, and could he make this club? And I think it was Jeff Luhnow or Bo Porter said, well, look at Mike Trout, what he did for the Angels last year.
It's such a great point. And I think it was Bo Porter talking about that. I thought it was right on the money, too, as that pitch is close to on the money. The point being that, look, the Angels started the year with Mike Trout in the minor leagues. And some people might have said, well, he's likely to get a chance at some point during the season. He got his chance and took over. And a lot of times it's not about how many games did you play at AA and at AAA and did you put up the required numbers to get to the big leagues. When you show that you are ready to contribute and help out, the time may be right now. And when you're talking George Springer, I really do think the time may be right now.
Counts for the second. Martinez over the first, 2 outs. Well, that's the beauty of spring training, getting a chance to look at so many of these guys. We've been reading scouting reports about them. Maybe we saw them walk around a little bit or get an at-bat or 2 in spring training last year, but George Springer's going to get a lot longer look, I think, this year.
And if you have a team that went to postseason play last year or was knocking on the door and you've got some guys in positions that are ready to go, so be it. You let the guys develop at the minor league level, but if they can help you right now and learn at this level, I think you've really got something special.
And that was Delino DeShields, Jr. on the bench.
I've heard a lot of people through the years say, well, you ruined this player by bringing him to the big leagues too soon. In my opinion, if that player was that fragile, he was probably never going to be very special to begin with.
Good point. Strike to Arcia. No balls, 2 strikes. Springer was the Astros' first-round pick in 2011. Hit 22 homers at Lancaster, 2 more at Corpus last year. Looping liner and just past the outstretched glove of Jonathan VR into left field. A single for Arcio.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of these little jam shot loopers get beyond the shortstop position. Kind of wonder if maybe a better jump wasn't in order right there.
Possibly so. Now Culver's the batter, Cito Culver. Cito Gaston for years, the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. Now they've switched back to John Gibbons. Interesting move on their part, since Gibbons had an unsuccessful earlier stint as their skipper. But from all reports, things are going very smoothly for him in Blue Jays camp as they try to challenge the Yankees, the Orioles, and those other AL East clubs. With all that talent we talked about earlier, and well, you realize as we look at teams in spring training, Ash, how much depth can be required for any given major league team over a big 6-month campaign that's about to begin at the end of this month. Tony Pena knows full well the number of players an organization can go through at the major league level if things don't go well on the injury front, or there can be major trades.
Especially on the pitching staff.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can leave camp with your 11, 12 pitchers, whatever it may be, and think, hey, we're set. This is what it's going to be, because before the year's out, you're going to likely have seen more than 20 pitchers. And you've got to have the guys ready to go at AAA, sometimes AA.
Yeah, and that's why the best organizations have created that kind of competition all the way down. You know, competition at A ball to move up to AA and so on.
Some players can be so short-sighted. The end of the spring comes, you didn't make the cut, you're getting sent down, the head goes down, the work ethic might change a little bit, and you blow that chance.
That wind is howling toward the right field corner. And that one's caught to end the top of the 7th inning with no runs a hit. The Astros up 7-5. Ball game. The Astros lead it here, bottom of the 7th inning. 7th inning stretch at Osceola County Stadium in Kissimmee. The Astros home for spring training since the mid-'80s. Bill Brown, Alan Ashby with you on the maiden voyage here for the Astros on Comcast Sportsnet Houston. And there's a lot of new to talk about, including Bo Porter. John Maley is new, the hitting coach. Dan Radisson is back from last year. He's the assistant hitting coach. Doug Brocail returns from last year, as does Dave Clark, who switched across the diamond to first base. Newcomer Dave Tremblay gets the third base coaching assignment with Eduardo Perez, another newcomer. The bench coach, Dennis Martinez, joins the organization from the Cardinals as the bullpen coach, and Roger Clemens has returned to work as the special assistant to the general manager. He's in minor league camp. This is his second visit to minor league camp this spring.
How'd you like to be one of the minor league pitchers and Roger Clemens steps onto your field and starts to impart wisdom your way.
Oh,
I would imagine that's time to listen.
it certainly is. There's a line shot to third. Jason Jaramillo hitting into some tough luck there. Well, not only because of what he accomplished, but he's a good teacher, too.
He really seems to love this game.
Yeah.
Whether it be with his kids that he's out throwing batting practice to, or whoever the case may be. I remember one day when I was with the Astros still as a broadcaster, and Roger was one of the pitchers. And prior to batting practice time, I came bopping in, all dressed and ready in slacks and dress shoes and ready to go. And Roger said, "Come here." Threw me the catcher's mitt, told me to get behind the plate, and he had some work to put in. And stuck me back there. I had no mask on, again, street shoes and the whole bit. And man, what a treat that was. And actually, when it was all said and done and I came out unscathed, he had a little praise for me, and I had a little praise for good fortune, and you know, it was one of those kind of special moments that kind of sticks with you. It's nice to have Roger Clemens care that much.
Jimmy Paredes with a pop-up, caught by the second sacker. That's out number 2. Good thing you didn't wear your tuxedo to work that day.
Well, I considered it, but you know, Roger had warned me the night before, no tuxes tomorrow.
Well, Jimmy Paredes, who's in the mix, trying to return and get some major league playing time. Hit that one on the infield. And with 2 outs now, the Astros try to get a rally going. Leading 7-5. They've come from behind. They trailed 5-1. They've had a few come from behind wins this spring. Brandon Barnes, the man you may have seen a few times on highlight catches last year for the Astros, batting for the first time in this game. 283 with men in scoring position. Brandon got some quality playing time for the Astros last year, and he did make that impact defensively. He is having a nice spring. 3 hits and 9 at-bats, including a homer. He hit the first home run of the spring for the Astros. And a guy who's worked very hard, played winter ball to try to improve, and this is another opportunity for him this year. With an improved outfield core vying for those spots. And Brandon can play center and play that well, so that gives him an edge on some of the other guys.
If you've got the speed, you've got the jumps out in the outfield, that helps you a great deal. But eventually, for most guys anyway, other than that exceptional defensive player, maybe middle infielder, maybe center fielder, you better swing the bat at some point, help the club out offensively. Everybody takes pride in the offensive side of the game anyway.
Yes. And, you know, you have to judge players based on the pitchers they face in spring training. Did he get his hits off a major league pitcher, or all of his hits off guys who are going to be in AA and AAA? Line drive into right center. And Barnes will take the turn as the ball's backhanded. He's still going into second base. He's a hustling player, and he has a double.
Well, here's a thought. I used to feel like the major league pitcher, the guy that knew he had the club made, was the guy I wanted to face in the spring. And there may have been multiple reasons, but I felt like he was the guy that was just out there trying to hit his spots, trying to, you know, get himself ready to when the bell rings for opening day. And that minor league pitcher was the guy out there humping and sweating and grunting and groaning, and you didn't know where the ball was going to go. And I really would rather face that big leaguer.
Barnes in with a hustling double. Now it's Brandon Laird. He's the guy who turned this game around with a grand slam in the 6th inning to give the Astros a 6-5 lead. Looking at ball 1.
A short stroke on what turns out to be the long ball.
And that's what the guys like about him so much.
Well, he takes this curveball very well. Curve or slider, big breaking ball that dips under the knees. There's a tendency to have the front hip flying open when you see that pitch initially, but he took it very quietly.
He was a Yankee, but the Astros claimed him on waivers last September. He had been drafted by the New Yorkers in 07. Brother of Gerald Laird, major league catcher. Brendan's from Cypress, California. He had 21 at-bats for the Yankees in 2011, 35 at-bats for the Astros last year. Played Played at AAA Scranton most of the season, where he had 15 homers and drove in 77 runs. And he can play first and third.
Looks to me like he's got a clue with the bat.
Yeah. As you know, Ash, when you're constructing a major league roster, you don't have all guys that you project are everyday players. You have to have guys who know how to handle the bench roles.
Yeah.
If that's what you're assigning them to do.
Well, sometimes you'd love to get a big star that helps you out on the bench, but that big star may be so unhappy with sitting on the bench that he ruins not only his own season but others around him.
True. Some guys require more playing time than others to be effective hitting. And then you get the Greg Grosses of the world who are just good pinch hitters, and you know they're golden because they don't have to have many at bats as a starter.
Watching Laird, I wonder if he might have the potential to be that kind of guy. He's got such a quiet approach with the body and the hands that he looks to me like Altuve, that he might step to the plate, utilize the whole field, and when it's all said and done, put a lot of hurt on the opposition.
So runners at first and second now for the Astros. And Jonathan VR, switch hitting shortstop, batting ninth, is coming up for his fourth at bat in this game. That's somewhat rare in a spring training game. And of course the at bats become something that the managers and coaches and general managers really watch. If they're setting up competition at a position, they really like to feel that the players involved in that competition get a reasonably similar number of plate appearances so they can say it was a fair fight when they make their decision.
Good swing by VR. Sometimes you may have a day where you take an over. VR 0 for 3 at this point, but you get a couple of good swings on foul balls, and it actually leaves an impression on the skip and the hitting coach to say, you know what, that's a good swing he's getting up there. It's going to fall into place here real soon.
You get a sense of what an organization really has after a month or 5 weeks of spring training games. Even though players are headed to their various minor league clubs, the GM by then has a pretty good idea of what he might be able to call on during the regular season if needed. Grounded to first, VR hustling, but he is retired. And in the 7th inning for the Astros, it's no runs a hit, 2 men stranded. Moving to the 8th, it's 7-5 Houston. The Astros and Yankees have gone back and forth in this one. They both had big 6th innings. Get suited up for spring training at the official online shop of the Astros with the largest selection of authentic spring training gear, including clubhouse caps, t-shirts, jerseys, sweatshirts, and more. Get set for spring at the official source, theastros.com shop. We'll see people wearing their gear here today. A lot of orange. The Astros with the orange spring training caps with the navy blue bill. And that's the way they look in spring of 2013. You'll see all those different uniforms come into play when they get back to Minute Maid Park for the opener against the Texas Rangers.
The orange is back, and it looks kind of nice.
Yes, it does.
I remember when this club, when I first joined them back in '79, they were breathing orange fire.
Yeah, they were. You bet. There have been a lot of different phases of orange throughout this organization's history. Walter Ibarra, the batter. Strike one. Oberholzer in there for the Astros. Pitcher number 5. Lucas Harrell started this game, went 3 shutout. There's a new cap. At least this version of it. And in this day and age, clubs wear different caps for spring training than they do for the regular season. So you can go a lot of different directions when you get outfitted with your Astros gear this year. Fly ball to center. That one heads back, and the sun is a problem. Oh, nice catch on the run for Grossman.
There's a guy that's been intriguing folks with the Astros. Swings the bat well, has a good idea about the game, and goes and gets it in center field under very tough conditions. See how much the wind is impacting this game. That ball wasn't exactly juiced, and yet this ball headed right in the direction that the wind is blowing.
Good play by Robbie Grossman in center. Cy-Fair High School product. And the wind is carrying it further and further. And Tyler Austin fouls it back. Strike one.
Yeah, the wind alone can make it miserable for everybody defensively. Then you add the tough sun during the spring in Florida. It can be a nightmare. That's the kind of wind right there that should leave pitchers wanting to get the ball down with good sink.
Here's another thing about judging results from spring training games. There's the level of competition, of course, at the time. And there is the condition you talked about, the wind. In a single deck spring training stadium, the wind has a lot more effect on play than a triple deck major league stadium, we'll say.
Unless we're talking about Candlestick.
That's true. That was a different animal. Completely.
Wow.
A nightmare at night. Day games were gorgeous, just like this one is today. But yeah, the wind is an issue here. The sun is an issue here. And with the number of day games in spring training, that is unlike what the clubs will be playing during the regular season.
I remember I was playing with Joe Morgan, so it must have been 1980. We were in Candlestick, wind howling from left field toward the first base side. Pop-up went up to Joe Morgan at second base, and he hollered for it. I got it. Enos Cabell was playing at first base. And thankfully, Enos went after this ball because this routine right at the second baseman pop-up, and you know how big the foul territories were at Candlestick Park. It was forever. Well, this pop-up landed just in play on the first base side at the far end of the first base dugout, and Enos Cabell was sliding trying to make a play. He actually didn't make the play. But that was a pop fly that Joe Morgan, a great second baseman, called in position.
Foul back. So that bird that just swooped in over Lake Mathis out there beyond the right center field wall. Well, there was a story, whether true or not sure, about a game at Candlestick many years ago. Ball went up in the air on the right side of the infield. The umpire called the infield fly rule, and it wound up hitting off the right center field fence.
Umpire stand by his ruling?
I don't know. That would have been a little tricky, wouldn't it? Still a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
Dinner
catch of the day
is coming shortly.
We named that little lake out there after various Astros pitchers over the years. It might be some other lake tomorrow, Ash.
I'm trying to remember what we called it back in the early days here in this ballpark. One of the pitchers got the honor, giving up the long home runs in that direction.
I thought it was Ron Mathis.
It was Ron Mathis. Great call.
We called it Lake Mathis.
Yeah.
And we still do.
So he's perpetuated on this whole thing. What an honor. Is he aware of that fact?
We may have to inform him. He's probably not watching today. But we hope you're watching tomorrow at noon when it's the Cardinals and Astros. Game 2 of the 10-game telecast schedule for spring training, as the Astros and Comcast Sportsnet Houston get together. TV game number 1 today. So if the Astros are 10-0 in the spring training telecast this spring, is that an omen?
Well, I have a feeling if it does happen, opening day not scheduled to be on the Astros telecast right now, they may work out a way to get that done.
Good point. This will be the 11th pitch to Tyler Austin by Oberholzer. Shoots a line drive toward the right field corner. That does scoot. And then it caroms around on a warning track. Austin will keep going to third base without a relay. Stand-up triple. Well, the wind was behind it. The ball was scorched, and it hit and just took off into that right field corner.
I don't know if he's just late or just a perfect approach on the ball away, and I'd have to go with the latter watching that replay. That ball was scalded going the other way.
Jimmy Paredes chasing it down, but to no avail as Austin got to third. One out triple. Now the potential tying run to the plate. Ramon Flores, the batter. Yankees have 9 hits to the Astros 8, but the Astros got a grand slam from Brandon Laird to put them in the lead in the 6th inning. There were 11 runs scored in that 6th inning, 5 by the Yankees. So who's the best team in baseball right now, Alan Ashby?
Well, if you let Las Vegas talk, it might be the Toronto Blue Jays. I just heard the other day that the Blue Jays have been installed as the favorite to win everything. I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I might have to think on that one a moment. What do you think?
Well, they're certainly one of those who would be picked by many.
I think the clubs that we've talked about in the American League West would have to be considered. Texas has been finding their way right to that point. Boy, did they blow it late last year, but the Angels they have to be in that conversation.
Yeah, I think the Angels are among the very best teams.
Yeah, the funny thing is the Oakland A's won that division last year, and that came out of nowhere. But yeah, those are very good clubs. I don't know. What is it about the Cardinals and the way they find a way to be so good late in the season?
Good organization. Yeah, should be pretty good again this year.
Bruce Bochy. Man, what a fine job he did managing the Giants.
He did. And pitching usually rules the day among the best teams.
Next door locker mate of mine, Bruce Bochy, back in the 79, 80, 81 years with the Astros. Had no idea that Boch was going to be a manager.
Yeah, isn't that something? Good breaking ball. Catches him looking for a strikeout.
Yeah, nice. Freeze that left-hand hitter. You can see the early movement of the right hip, that lead hip. Watch it open up. Once you do that and the hands drag, there's just no chance to handle the off-speed pitch.
Adonis Garcia, the batter now. The Astros up 7-5 as they try for their 4th win of the spring. They've lost 2 and tied 1, which should put them in contention for the NHL playoffs with a 3-2-1 record. What do you think?
Well, easily 2-3-1 might get you there.
Shortened season. And the main thing, though, the Astros have their share of split squad games. The Yankees are playing a split squad today because of all the players they want to see. They have a lot of interest in these minor leaguers who are pressing.
Well, you talked about 81 players in camp for the Yankees.
Yeah, that's a lot of people to look at, isn't it? The Astros have 61.
I think you have to have the names on the backs that way, don't you?
Oh, it's
just for the manager.
Now, Larry Dierker, when he was the Astros manager, was very kind to broadcasters. Whenever he would make a substitution in the game, it would always be a straight-up change in the batting order.
Those are helpful, too.
That'll make it 7-6 on the RBI single to right field. Garcia comes through. Now the Yankees down by a run. It's 10 hits for them.
And some very pretty hitting here in the 8th inning by a couple of right-hand hitters going the other way. Pitch up, gets on top of it. You could see that barrel of the bat not coming from down below the ball, but instead directly to the baseball. Good hitting.
Bo Porter has another lefty warming up in his bullpen. Oberholzer coming out with a score, 7-6 Houston in the 8th. The Astros over the Yankees here in the 8th inning. The Yankees have scored once. They have a runner at first and 2 outs, and Sergio Escalona has come out of the bullpen. He's pitcher number 6, and he missed all of last season after left elbow surgery. He's 28 years old. There you see his 3-1 major league career record in 63 games, 14 of those with the Phillies in 09. The Astros got him in a trade in 11, and then in 11 he had a good season for them, 2-1 with a 2.93 ERA. Facing Austin Romine. This will be Escalona's second appearance of the spring. He gave up 3 hits and 5 earned runs in 1 inning in his first. Well, a chance for him to come in a 2-out situation here, put out the fire, and send the Astros to the bottom of the 8th, still holding the lead by 1. Sergio is from Lara, Venezuela. Phillies signed him as a free agent in 04. Bo Porter would love to have 3 lefties in his bullpen. Not sure it's going to work out that way, but it sounds as if a minimum of 2.
Great advantage to be being left-handed. You see some guys stick around the game maybe well past the point that a right-hander with the same stuff might find himself in the game, but it's hard to find that lefty that can get the job done.
Wesley Wright, of course, ranks as one of those lefties based on his effectiveness and his time with the big league club. He would seem to have one of those bullpen spots nailed down.
Thing is, as a manager, you'd still like to have a left-handed arm in the bullpen ready for the 9th inning in a big situation when the opposition skip goes to a left-handed bat.
Exactly. All the way. 1-2 the count to Romine. Well, the other Yankee club in their split squad day lost to Toronto in Tampa. The Yankees home 1-0. Brett Cecil winning it for the Blue Jays. Andy LaRoche homered for their only run.
Well, you asked me a little while ago who I think might be the top club in the major leagues right now if I were picking, and I might pick the Toronto Blue Jays. I think a lot's going to have to do with can Jose Bautista bounce back after an injury-filled year last year, and a year that saw his bat kind of declining a little bit in terms of batting average, not in terms of the power game.
It's a line shot caught by VR to end the top of the 8th with a run on 2 hits and a man left. The Astros lead at 7-6. A very interesting spring training affair. The Astros leading the Yankees. Yankees about hit Houston 10-8, each club with 1 error. And it's been a day to watch a lot of different players get into the action, including pitching lineups. Number 7 coming in for the New York Yankees right now. Mr. Perez will be pitching for them. Kelvin Perez wearing number 98. Astros have used 6 hurlers of their own. And that kind of a day for both these managers to just take in what they've seen. And there's been a lot to take in on a day like this, including a 5-run Yankees 6th inning and a 6-run Astros 6th inning, including a go-ahead grand slam by Brandon Laird. So Bo Porter's club up by 1, trying to get some insurance runs for the 9th inning.
I think some pluses and minuses, as most days bring for a manager in the major leagues, but certainly plenty on both sides here this afternoon. Some early good pitching by starter for the Astros today, Harrell. I thought he was sharp, and there's been some good clutch hitting.
Yes. Jose Martinez will be the batter. Venezuelan native, came to the Astros from the St. Louis organization as a free agent, and last year at Corpus Christi he hit .304 with 13 homers, driving in 75 runs. That's strike 1 for Perez. Martinez suffered through a tragedy in his family about 3 years ago. 3 members of his family shot and killed in a burglary, and he was on the field in batting practice at spring training when he learned of that. That's a line shot to center field, in for a hit. Martinez.
That's unimaginable.
It is.
You just don't know how anybody, let alone a young man trying to focus on getting a job done in spring training, can deal with that.
Absolutely. Nice swing of the bat.
Almost as if he heard what you had to say and just hung out the line shot.
It just really takes some focus, doesn't it, to be able to move on after something like that. Now Robbie Grossman's the batter. He walked earlier and bunts this one foul. We talked earlier about Robbie being a Houston area product and somebody who was moving through the Pittsburgh system until he came to the Astros in the Wandy Rodriguez deal, and now getting this fresh start in a different organization close to home. He was a 6th-round pick by the Buccos in 08. Had signed a letter of intent to go to University of Texas, and the Pirates were able to entice him to sign. Fly ball to left field. And that's out number 1 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. So now as he approaches this year, it'll be his first full year in the Astros organization. He played well at Corpus Christi last year, and he would be one of those guys to watch. He's 23 years old. Ash, he could be advancing and creating some exciting moments for the home fans here shortly in his career.
We are still young on the spring, but he has swung the bat well. Made a fine defensive play here this afternoon, going into right center, deep up against the wall.
Jake Gobert takes a look at it. It's ball 1. It'll be interesting to see, too, what happens with the Dodgers this year after all the money they spent on their club.
Would you come away with watching Don Mattingly manage with LA?
Thought he had some real challenges, acquitted himself well, and now he just has so much talent. It's going to be interesting to see how that whole situation fits together. You know, is Matt Kemp healthy and things of that nature?
Zach Greinke signs as a free agent and acknowledges it. One of the few guys ever, maybe the first guy, to just say it was about the money.
Credit to him for honesty.
Yeah.
2 balls, no strikes.
Magic and the boys have been anteing up.
They really have. They just have a huge payroll. Meanwhile, the Yankees are talking about paring down their large payroll for next year. And A-Rod's making something like $28 million this year. So it's kind of hard to cut when you have players in that stratosphere.
Yeah, a lot of talk. Yeah, a month or more ago when all the word came out about the players involved with the PED case down in South Florida, and A-Rod's name on that list. And of course, A-Rod didn't have much of a year last year, in particular as they got toward the postseason. It was rather miserable, and I think the Yankees clearly saw the potential there anyway to maybe get out from under that contract, and I would imagine they're still angling in that direction.
Well, that would be a huge burden that they could unload if they had legal means, but apparently it's not going to work out, according to the most recent stories anyway. 3-2 to Jake Gobert. goes on this one, and he fouls it back. Well, the Astros have a trip to Yankee Stadium and Boston. It'll be one of the interesting road trips they have in the 2013 season. The Yankees don't come to Houston until the last week of the season. But that trip to Boston and New York actually begins in Boston, March 25th, a 4-game series there, and then on to New York for 3. That'll be the second road trip of the year. And the Yankees' visit to Houston is the last 3 games, September 27th through the 29th.
Think either team will see the same club on the other side?
Well, it's interesting. I wonder about that. Throw to second, not in time. And it was strike 3 call on Gobert. Martinez gets the steal. It's 2 outs in the inning now.
His throw was there in time, but you get to reaching as an infielder on that bounce throw, and watch the reach here. Got to stay back at the bag to give yourself a chance. Either that or find a way to get the body moving back into the bag at the point of the catch.
Now it's Nate Fryman. He struck out earlier. Goes foul for strike 1. You know, you think about a young guy like Nate Fryman, who was a Double-A San Antonio last year, had a solid year, and yet the Padres, in a rebuilding type mode, failed to protect him in the Rule 5 draft on the 40-man roster, so the Astros scooped him up. Now he gets a start with another organization stressing youth and development. And the interesting thing that will be the decision for the top brass, for Jeff Luhnow and the folks in the front office, will be, can they put him on the major league roster and keep him there all year, because that would be required since he was a Rule 5 pick, unless they worked out a deal with the Padres to keep him and send him down. He would be required to stay on the big league club. And I would think, you know, the Padres are not a power-laden organization, so I would think they would want a lot in return if the Astros tried to make a deal to send him down.
What was it the Padres didn't see in this guy that left them leaving him out there?
Good question. Really good question. Martinez took off for third, then he jammed on the brakes and got back to second. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Their ballpark, Petco Park, is just so massive. It's just hard to find power hitters who can hit home runs there, although they're bringing in the fences a little bit, I believe, this year.
You wonder how much that might come into play. You can go up and down the entire West Coast, the ballparks, and at nighttime anyway, they all play tough.
That's a good point. Pop up on the right side. Bird giving way to the second sacker. Navarro takes it, and that's the 8th inning. No runs a hit, and the man stranded. Moving to the 9th. Houston leads New York by 1, 7-6. Well, it was 0-0 when this game headed into the bottom of the 5th inning. Now it's a 7-6 one-run affair. The Yankees about hit the Astros 10-9, each club with 1 error. Glad you're with us today on the maiden voyage for the Astros on Comcast Sportsnet Houston. Bill Brown, Alan Ashby, back in the studio getting set up for the postgame show. Marius Payton and Mike Stanton, the left-hander who pitched so often, and he's appearing in the studio so often, and that's a good thing. Meanwhile, Mike Stanton can relate to this. Late innings, lefty on the mound. Sergio Escalona, after missing all of last season, has a chance to get 3 important outs. Kevin Mahoney leads it off. Mike's been in situations in the late innings many times. There's ball 1. Hey, it's interesting to have a spring training, not only with 10 telecasts, first we can remember with that many, but also full pre- and post-game shows. Ash?
Grinding it hard right now.
Yeah, working it. For those who really want to see baseball.
Well, if this turns out to be a spring that highlights a number of players and they step up and help this club move forward, I think anybody who takes the time to watch over the course of the spring will probably enjoy what they were able to see.
Yes. Our next telecast tomorrow, pregame show, 11:30. Game time noon. Back, and here's Laird coming over for it, and it pops out of his glove and gets away from him. He was on the run and tried to catch it, fingers pointed down.
Watch the glance here. Maybe glancing right at the moment with the ball getting to him to see where am I in relation to the dugout and maybe falling in. And then that wind pushing out toward right center field maybe brings the ball back a bit.
Good point. Not that easy a play. Looks as if the official scorer has ruled error on that. With the fly ball to left center. Grossman waiting. And it's 1 out for Escalona. Hey, this could be a real positive for Sergio. He's able to come in and get important outs here, as he's done with the first 2 men. Right-hander warming up in the bullpen right now, so we're not sure he will be staying in for the final outs of the game. Greg Bird will be the batter. He hits left. Another left-handed hitter on deck, so he may stay in. And it might be one of those situations, if somebody gets on base and the next guy is a right-handed batter, maybe Escalona doesn't stay in for the final out if somebody reaches. Cole Porter wants to play these spring training games to win. That is the objective, whether the games count in the regular season standings or not.
You also put your players in a position that they'll likely find themselves in during the course of the year. And if you're going to get left-handed outs, get them right now.
Oh, off the chest of Fryman. He blocks it, recovers, and tosses to Escalona. And the important part was he got his body in front of it, and the ball did not get that far away from him.
My estimation, this is a pretty tough play.
Yeah.
These hard infields during the spring, get the body down in front, be a catcher if you need to be, and that's exactly what Fryman does. That's well done.
Yeah, first baseman has time to do that. He doesn't have to pick it up cleanly. Quite often, as you well know, Ash, on these Florida infields, even though we did have rain a couple of days ago, they can get awfully hard. And the hops off that dirt can be vicious.
This one is hard right now. I was watching yesterday and some of the reaction of balls coming off the dirt surface.
Ball 1 to Arcia.
Yeah, many a first baseman with a reputation of being around the game for a while might have thrown a little Olay on that one.
Yeah, we've seen that from veterans in spring training. One of the main objectives is to avoid having a broken nose in spring training as an infielder.
That's always a key when you leave your apartment or the hotel in the morning.
Not everyone can wear a face mask as you did.
Yeah, but you're referring to away from the ballpark.
Yeah, I want to see that at dinner tonight.
Could happen.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
What's being served?
Well, hopefully soup. Good when a brand new season rolls around. the game does leave us empty during those winter months, doesn't it?
Does your calendar at home come equipped with the X's that you get to put on there as you cross off the offseason?
Just about. A ground ball 29 hopper hit into center field. So the Yankees remain alive, down by 1. Now they'll have Culver coming up, a right-handed batter. This is where it gets interesting for Bo Porter. And he's not budging. He's going to give Escalona this chance to nail this one down. As a right-hander, but he's sticking with the lefty Escalona. You know, one thing that's always fascinating for fans of a team that has just changed managers is, okay, what's the strategy of the new manager going to be? I think that'll be highly interesting because I don't think Bo Porter is going to go with percentages all the time this year. Not based on what he said, anyway.
That's what he's indicating.
Yeah.
Talks about a feel.
Right.
What are you feeling about your guys and their guys?
Well, here's an indication right now, even though it's, what, game 7 of spring training, but he has a lefty pitcher facing a right-handed batter. So he's not going with the strict percentage move with a right-hander warmed up.
Also makes me wonder is what does Bo want to impart to Escalona right now?
True, good point. This one kicks away, and the advance on the wild pitch. Garcia to second base.
Now, you're not all about extra inning spring training games, are you?
Yeah, extra innings are great in spring training. You have to get ready. You have to get ready in every way, Ash, for the regular season. There's no finer way to do it than on your first telecast of the year, having 15 inning. You know what, though, bringing that up, the Yankees probably don't have too many more pitchers that they brought on this trip.
It's a way to stay positive, Ronnie.
Yeah, the other day the Astros had a tie game when the other team ran out of pitchers. And that frequently is the case on a split squad day in spring training. They bring only so many pitchers. And that's it. The game stops after their final pitcher is throwing all they want him to throw.
Well, based on that shot we just had of the Yankees bullpen, I think they've come well equipped.
It appears so.
Yeah. Put me in, Coach.
They're ready to go at least 16 today, Ash.
I couldn't be more glad to hear it.
And now Sergio Escalona comes down to a 3-2 pitch to Culver next. Another right-handed batter waiting on deck, Ibarra. 18 pitches for Escalona. And a walk. Now we'll see if Bo Porter stays with him. He's not moving.
Like a manager firm in his decisions.
Two-man on, 2 outs in the top of the 9th. Jason Jaramillo giving signs. Dave Clark is waving to his right fielder. He's moving him over toward the line about 2 steps.
A little leadoff slider has been a pretty effective pitch.
Working with Jimmy Paredes in right field. Now he's moving him back about 2 steps. Sharply hit on the ground. There's the bounce up for Villar. He gets the force play at second, and that will do it as the Astros beat the Yankees 7-6. Back in a moment.
A passion